Not the Chuddle.
Chuddle. Surprise.
I have a real soft spot for evil.
Blood flying everywhere.
So good.
I'm a big boy who doesn't get scared.
Out of the mist and into the fog, it's Chuddle the Pod.
Salutations, Chuddle City Club members, and welcome to a brand new meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club. Tonight, we gather to discuss 2005's Land of the Dead. My name's Brian. I'm joined by my beautiful co-occupants of the pod, as usual, Ross.
Oh, hey.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Love to have you. Love to see you. Sam, welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me. Sup?
How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and I'm so appreciative to be doing another movie again. You might not know this. We haven't done it. We took a little time off, so this is our first time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we're going to be rusty as hell.
Weeks doing it, so I'm excited.
Yeah, all three together. Yep, yeah. Exactly. Ross and I did a couple news stories for the patrons. We got together and did that.
And we did
all three Chuddle.
Some episodes, but this is the first movie.
This is the first movie.
That's right. We talked about a bat on a treadmill.
Yes, we did. Go join the Patreon and check that out. More about that in a second. Before we dive headfirst into the dystopian depths of Land of the Dead, we're thrilled to welcome back the ever terrifying tag team of terror, Cody and Sergio from the Horror.
Hello. That's us.
Yes. That is you.
We tag team terror like it's a bad boy.
And personally, I am here tonight with the explicit purpose to argue that this should be named Geography of the Dead because, spoiler alert, there's water and land in this movie.
Sadly, yes.
Yes.
And that water is
we're calling
featured.
things out at the top.
Should have been called.
Glad to be here, guys.
City of the Dead, but that's a movie.
Mm-hmm. We love you guys here.
Yeah, we probably should have taken a gap just as long as George Romero took a gap in between movies.
20 years
in this. 20 years.
20-year gap.
Podcast episode.
It feels like it's been that long since we've got a new podcast episode from you guys.
Hey.
Wow. Shots
got him. Burned him.
Were you waiting?
Pop.
Oh my God. Listen, it's not like you and our viewers say the same thing. All right.
I'm sure you guys get plenty of it. Hey, you take your time. We definitely love all your YouTube stuff. So that's definitely great. Sam will yell at you to react to certain
Let's
shit.
roast
I'm
them.
going to say you do you. Let's roast them. Sam wants to really roast you guys. We'll see where it goes.
This is the roast of the Horror Bandwagon episode.
Surprise.
Oh, Lord.
The Land of the Dead are you two for being roasted.
A land of the insecurities. I'm not ready.
Don't worry, I have no idea how to do it.
I really want to see Sam try. I feel like he'd be like, you.
Look at you two.
Jerks.
You jerks. You guys just are a couple of jerks.
Wise guys.
Bunch of skullduggery, tomfoolery, sons of bitches.
Couple of bearded fellows in black long sleeves. Jerks wearing those things.
Bunch of cum guzzling.
All right.
I would not say that.
God damn it, Sam. Your Sergio voice was really strong. That was weird.
I was not expecting that. That hit hard.
All right, let's move on from that. Everyone out there, thanks for joining us. Don't forget, we like to keep it spoiler free up top. We'll let you know when those spoilers plop. Last but certainly not least, you heard about that Patreon. We got that Patreon. That's where our beautiful coven of witches hang out. And their sacrifice gives us life. We thank them for their beautiful souls. We do all sorts of fun stuff over in the Patreon. We just recorded a mailbag episode where the one and only Sergio sent in a question. We answered that.
You answered it?
We answered, yeah.
And you can hear that on the Patreon.
I didn't want to answer it, but they said we should.
See, he's so close to calling us cum guzzling.
It's just like one step away.
It's one step further.
So join up to that 369, a whole bunch of different tiers. Eventually, the higher you go, the more you affect the show. With all club members present and accounted for, let's go ahead and open that goo book and officially begin tonight's meeting.
Give me that goo. Oh, yeah.
Well, now it feels really weird.
Nice.
Can I just say that I just love the experience of the Horror Bandwagon being on the show, because we've now surpassed cum jokes in the script to that we haven't even gotten to the movie yet.
Oh no!
Is that a premature cum joke?
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. That's,
Oh God.
that's a pre.
I just appreciate that we can have an episode devoted to how many different and unique ways that we can describe cum. But the moment we talk about the guzzling of
The
said cum,
cummage.
that's the line.
Said
Yeah.
cummage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I would just never call you guys. Seems insensitive. No,
I'm
Brian
wondering
and
if we
Ross,
should give
on
you
the
a
other hand.
You heard what just happened. It's a log line and tagline time.
Oh yeah.
Woo! Log line. The living dead have taken over the world, and the last humans live in a walled city to protect themselves as they come to grips with the situation. That's really bad because they're not the last humans, I don't think. They talk about other cities
I don't
existing.
think so either.
Yeah, so it's a
Right?
I feel like you would
There's a lot more to this
Anyway.
movie
Yeah.
than
But
what
yeah,
happened.
yeah.
In that one.
Reframe it. But yes, it is much about this group of people, humans, living in a walled up city to protect themselves. And zombies continue to progress themselves as well in the lore of the dead situation. Taglines for this one: the dead shall inherit the earth.
not bad.
Inherit.
They already
Okay.
have.
They pretty much have, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They've cornered the market on the earth, especially by this installment.
Rise of the zombies.
Of the zombies?
What? Am I allowed to say zombies? Like, is that okay?
Is that like a Pee Wee Herman thing? Like zombie?
I don't know. The next tagline is "Rise of the Zombies." I have no idea.
Wait, how do you spell zombies? Is this just JOMB?
Yes, John, like JOMBIES. When I look up zombie, it keeps coming to like Kung Fu Panda stuff.
Whoa.
What?
So I
Well,
don't know what that's
no.
about. Again, this came from IMDb.
I think they
guess
lied.
you can just put in whatever tagline to suit
I
well
veto it.
as you want. Veto the rise of the. I don't know.
No,
Rise of the Zombies is pretty good.
You're a fan of that one?
Sure, what I want to see Land of the Dead now.
Why not? If I saw it say that on the cover, I may have been more interested in checking it out initially.
You're like, fuck
Like, what the
yeah,
hell's a
zombies.
zombie? What the fuck
Yeah,
is
you know
going
what?
on?
But then when there's no zombies, would you be like upset?
Are there no zombies?
I guess it's evolution.
How do we know these aren't zombies?
These now are zombies.
Ooh.
I will
Because they're-
refer them to as such.
Is that the entire script now, Jay?
Hey, script program, please refer to zombies as zombies from now
Oh
on.
my
and
God.
Replace it. Thank you. It can't do that. Maybe it can. I don't know.
could do
That'd be
that.
fun. All right. Rise of the Zombies. Yeah, whatever. And then the legendary filmmaker brings you his ultimate zombie masterpiece.
Ooh.
Okay, that one.
Ultimate?
Ultimate masterpiece.
Well, I mean,
Ultimate.
you're hyping
All
it
right.
up.
Wow.
I'm surprised it didn't
It's
say
all-
you had night, you had dawn, you had day. Now you
Oh, yeah,
have
that's
land.
The land. It all comes down to this.
And I maintain that there are other time references that could have been used.
Oh yeah.
Oh, give us what are your ideas?
I mean, afternoon is right there.
Afternoon of the Dead?
Evening.
It's
evening of
been
the
so
dead.
long. Give us
Supper of the
give us
Dead?
Decade of the Dead.
George Romero's Afternoon Delight of the Dead.
The 7:12 p.m. of the dead.
3:10 to Yuma
Oh
of
my-
the Dead.
I like
Not
it.
quite late afternoon, not really early evening yet. Day of the Dead. Of the Dead. Day.
Moment of the Dead.
Twilight of
You
the
know what I
Dead?
was getting at with there. You
Oh,
know, that one that
Twilight of the Dead.
Twilight
is
of
a
the Dead is
different-
Twilight.
That's a different movie.
Vampires versus zombies.
Yes.
Okay.
Vampires versus werewolves versus zombies.
Oh yeah, there are werewolves in that.
when did Twilight start? when was that? The books and stuff.
The
I think
late
it's about the same
books are
time frame.
Right. Yeah, the books were out in I want to say the original Twilight book came out in 2007 or 2008 because I was in high school.
So if this took that title is all I'm getting at, but yeah.
Yeah.
Please go on.
I have gone on record before, so I will go on record again as saying that I did read all 4 of the Twilight book.
And that's fine. Yeah.
I read the first. I read
Were
the
you
first
into
one.
it because of the romance?
I may have read the second one. I don't remember. I worked in a restaurant, and there was the owner's daughter worked there, and she was into them, and I've read her copies, but definitely not all of them, and I'm not even sure 2 of them.
I think I owned the original one, but I never read it.
I mean, it definitely had a rough landing. I'll just leave it at that. I don't think that this series wrapped up very well.
So no Twilight of the Dead?
No.
Well, that was my only point, was that if this came out in 2005, it would have been
available
before then, so it wouldn't have there wouldn't have been that association.
Yes,
there
that's
to the
true.
vampire
So they
thing.
could have.
That's true.
May have first come from a zombie thing or whatever, but so I think it could have worked.
You're right.
I think it's a good one.
I mean, you could just go through Twilight of the Dead, and then
Midnight of the Dead,
New Moon of the Dead, and then Eclipse of the Dead, and then Breaking
I was
Dawn
going to say
of the
Eclipse
Dead.
of the Dead.
Right?
Wait, Eclipse of the Dead is actually kind of good. I like that.
I actually think Eclipse of the Dead would be a fun movie.
Yeah, I'd be there for it. So as we know, movies are made by people. The people that made this movie are George A. Romero, returning for writing and directing this one here, starring Simon Baker, John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper, Asia Argento, daughter of Dario Argento.
I was wondering that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yep. I never really knew Argento and Giallo and all that kind of stuff in that world
At that
much before. So I never really knew his ties and how his fingers,
because he produced Dawn,
so
right?
much of this. Right. Yeah. Because he has the Argento cut. He put all the money into that. And he's always been a big believer, and they've always liked each other.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Argento and Romero. Robert Joy, Eugene Clark, Joanna Boland. It's a
big cast.
Big cast of characters here.
There's a lot of hot people in this one, if I may.
Is there?
If there's just some hotties.
Simon
in
Rex.
No, this is definitely like a
The Mentalist.
I don't know. No, it is. This is a little more.
Wait, isn't Simon Rex from Scary Movie?
He might be in Scary Movie. Yeah. I don't know.
I think so.
Interesting.
I know he's
Hopper.
the Mentalist.
Yes.
And what's really weird is we
Come on
watched. So I watched Land of the Dead yesterday morning, and we watched The Devil Wears Prada last night, and he's in The Devil Wears Prada as well.
That's where we remember.
I had a Simon Rex day yesterday.
So yeah, big cast. I mean, a lot of people popping in and out, and I have a couple cameos and stuff tickled throughout the script here.
Oh yeah, there's some good cameos. There is one that I don't think you have on there, but I will point out when we get to it because
we'll see. I'm curious.
It's a famous tattooer.
I'm very curious about that because we noticed one big cameo when we watched it, and then I don't know if we noticed any others.
I can't wait to compare notes and see what we all. I mean, obviously, I didn't really spot any because I pulled them. Before.
I spotted one.
I mean, I spotted them because I knew to look for them.
Oh, did you do your
one
notes
on our first time watch?
Your IMDb behind the scenes before your first watch?
Yeah, because I've seen it before, so it's not like I
was
needing
so
to go
I
in
follow
super
you.
fresh or anything.
Yeah.
It's time for the gore. Fatality.
Basically, on a scale of 1 to 10, Psycho to the Sadness, how gory is this film? Consistency and intensity.
Ooh.
So we did watch the unrated cut of this. We didn't mention that yet, which is about 5 minutes longer, and I know does include some more gore. So
yes, it does.
I'd recommend to watch that one.
I was thinking 5 minutes is pretty long for including a lot of that's a lot of extra footage. I say.
Yeah. Especially with the amount of cutscene gore scenes in this movie.
We were pretty surprised.
And it only comes in at like 138.
Yeah, it's not
an hour
long.
38 at that. Yeah. So that's not that much you're adding on. Consistency, what? Maybe a 2.5 to a 3 or something? Like,
Yeah,
I
I'd
feel
give
like
it a 3, I guess. It's tough with the zombie blindness, but you have zombies throughout it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I think it definitely picks up as the movie goes along. But yeah, I think a 3 is fair.
Yeah. I had a little higher to 3.5, but
okay.
But I was same vein though, because I mean it's like part of me I feel I'm overcompensating because of certain zombie blindness.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because now I'm aware that I'm like, okay, maybe I won't do this as crazy, and then I watch, I'm like, no, this is still nuts.
Yeah. Well, I remember there's specific. I don't remember at the specific point, but I remember watching at one point and thinking, I was like, am I watching this with a lot of zombie blindness right now? I'm like, I was trying to recall gore, and then it kind of picked up at one point. Where I did notice it happening to humans, I guess, a little bit more. So the intensity, I think it's up there. I mean, you get some intense stuff.
Yeah,
4.5.
I gave it a 4.5, and the only reason I didn't give it a full 5 is that unlike the other installments, a lot of the gore in this is shadow based, as in like it happens in the dark. And sometimes it's like flashlights and things like that. But I feel a lot of this in comparison to the other installments is done in a basque of shadows, which I think in certain gore scenes works out really well. And then others I'm like, oh, just give me a little more light on that. Come on.
Let me see in front and center, please.
Yes. And we don't get some of the prolific like mauling scenes like we got in like Day, you know what I mean, where it's like I think a lot of these attack scenes are gory, but they're way more condensed. They're condensed.
We get some, but I agree with you that you just don't see it as well.
Yeah,
and it doesn't feel as impactful for whatever reason.
It doesn't,
but there's certainly exists those types of gore in those moments.
We get some tear aparts for sure.
7.5 sound good for our total score here, guys. Everyone agree?
Sure. Yeah, I can be on board with that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Who is the horror forward?
All right, let's go ahead and first ask and figure out what kind of subgenre does this belong into. We're just going to continue with zombie survival or apocalypse.
Yeah. A city fixer-upper movie.
Yeah. Like
HDTV.
But I mean, if I was looking for a real good fixer-upper movie, I won't feel like I'd get satisfied with this one.
No, actually, it's the opposite. Towards
yeah.
This is an unfixer downer.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, obviously, zombie apocalyptic.
Yeah, this is the first one that really feels like post-apocalyptic.
Yes, precisely.
You're living in that aftermath.
IMDb has it listed as a dark comedy as well. And I mean, I guess I could see those aspects, but it doesn't feel
you can say that
too
for
much.
So without revealing my hand too hard, there are jokes in this, but they don't land. As in, like, even when I remember seeing this when it came out, they did not land. Like, there are things that like are intentionally supposed to be jokes, but I don't know if I would give it like a full.
You'll have to point them out when we get there if you remember, because I'm not. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't remember any jokes being funny or unfunny. You know what I mean? So I'm curious what they are.
I agree. Nothing stands out to me in particular.
Yeah.
How do you guys think you should watch this one? Cody and Sergio, I want to go to you first. Is this a good having a good time with friends, or do you want to be living in this movie in quiet?
With a camera.
We did it with the camera. Who will then watch it
with the camera?
None of other people. I want to say I had a good time when we were watching it together.
Yeah, I don't know that this is like a get together with a big group though. I think this is like a small group type of film.
Really, I kind of think a big group would enjoy some of the stuff that we saw, because I think the experience would enhance it better. Like, viewing experience would be better with a group of people, because then it'll make it seem like this was a better movie than it is.
I just don't know. Maybe I am. Maybe I'm being a little harsh, but I almost feel like this is the kind of movie where if you watch it with a big enough group, y'all start distracting yourselves with other conversation, forget about the movie.
I agree.
Fair.
Like, I think that this is like the kind of thing that like You need the small enough group that you can like joke about the movie and have a good time, but still pay attention. Because I don't feel this like if putting myself in that situation, I don't feel this movie grabbing my attention from like all the other people that I'd want to talk to in the room. You know,
I totally understand it. Yeah. This one kind of I think it's also because it's like dark, like literally shot dark. Like I feel like this is like few friends or by yourself or with with that special gory someone.
Gory someone.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this has got a lot more limited audience.
Certainly, it feels of its time. It looks like a 2005 horror movie, and it's
yes.
to this one in my
early
opinion.
2000s.
Yes,
That works for some horror. That does not necessarily work for this. I don't think.
Would that be a subgenre there?
I mean, it works
early
fine
2000s?
enough, but it's still. I don't know. There's a good and bad feel to it for me.
I agree with you. Where like I think when we covered Day, where they kind of talk about like we're going to give you money or you do the gore. I feel like this is the opposite end of that coin, where it's like you still got to do the gore, but I feel like there was a lot more outside fingers in this pie, kind of directing, or you know what I mean? Because it feels like it's got more of a studio.
Sure. Well, we'll get into like a couple things.
Also, it's 20 years later.
Right. Of course. I mean,
but this is like the time of the like zombie movie era, right? Like,
the zombie
This is
revival.
part of the big
moment.
revival. Yeah, this is right after Shaun of the Dead and 28 Days Later and
28
Dawn
Days
of the
Later,
Dead.
The remake. So before we get into a little bit more there, let's just go real quick. Is it for beginners? I mean, I'd say
on paper, yes, but because of the content in the movie, how there's supposed to be like a quote unquote evolution of things, I feel like this would be lackluster at best if this was for a beginner. I feel like you probably need to watch the Romero trilogy, at least the original trilogy, to even get the vibe of this movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It could be, but I would not. If I were to make a list of movies for like beginners to watch, this would never appear on it.
Yeah,
fair.
But I don't think it would turn you off. I just don't think it would turn you on.
Yeah.
Would it make you want to do any cum guzzling? Should you know anything before going in?
Classic CG.
Just a fourth in the series, if anything.
Wait, what was the question?
Should you know anything going in?
I think honestly, the
typical zombie stuff.
Day of the Dead. You know what I mean? Because like Day of the Dead begins the idea of the evolution, if best. You know what I mean? Where I feel
it presents.
I think you could.
Yeah.
I mean, I would agree with what you said earlier, Ross. So like, I think that this shines. This shines best in the context of the other movies in this series and the evolution of the zombie, of just the breakout, and where like humans are, where zombies are. Like, I think you could watch this on its own and still enjoy it, but there's a lot of subtlety to it if you know how we got to this point in the franchise.
Agreed.
For some reason, I don't know why I'm wanting to pair this off with Dawn. Like Dawn of the Dead and this one would pair off pretty nicely.
It's got some mall vibes,
but I feel like it does.
Yeah, that's true.
It does, but you need the Day of the Dead evolving zombie background for this
really
one.
Puts more context into the evolving zombie aspect of it. Dawn talks about it as a theory, more or less, of like, why are they coming to the mall? Oh, maybe that's what they remember or something like that. But that's the most it touches really on that one. So
I'm just going to create my own Sergio cut with Dawn right into Land of the Dead. It's a Sergio cut.
I was.
Please do.
I want that. I want all the different cuts. Remember we have to make the night cuts and all that shit. And I think one of the things, we'll just get into it right now with this movie here. You know what? Let's do it in a second. Because there's someone fapping out my window. He's fapping more and more. The Mothman came a fapping, and these are the warnings on the door. Shout out to Tiger Snake Kate, who just learned what fapping was.
Oh my God! Yes,
because it's in Australia, not a term.
I didn't even realize
the Mothman was just flapping over,
flapping its wings.
Oh, but it does make sense. It does make sense for it to flap.
or fap. But he's a gross boy, so that's what's going here.
Oh my God, that's so sweet.
Zombie fare. I think there's no real big.
Yeah, it's
Trigger warnings.
If capitalism is a weird trigger for you, I guess.
Some political issues going on here.
This is 2005, so they do have some, I guess for better. I mean, they say jihad. There's some rhetoric that's in this movie that could be kind of associated with terrorist stuff. But
I don't think anything triggering.
But it's so on the nose that it almost feels like it's a parody of itself. You know what I mean? At watching it now,
dark comedy, man.
Dark comedy, dude.
It definitely
there is some racism
does
here.
Feel like a parody
yes, there
of
is.
itself.
Yeah, there is. Yes, there are some racial slurs that
at some point we're like, oh, we're in the clear, and then it's like, oh no, you check that.
No.
Okay, got it.
If you're not through Day of the Dead's racism, you'll be fine with Land of the Dead's.
Did I miss it?
Yeah, you
other
must
than
have.
J-Leg's
being
name.
someone who is from, I caught it.
There's definitely a racial slur thrown at Leguizamo, I think, towards the end of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Hopper, yes. But so speaking of all those moments and all that things, right? In the context of what's going on, our bad characters in Romero movies got to be
being
racist.
bad characters, being mean.
You got to have that racism. So with all that said, let's cut into this movie and get into the goo. Spoiler zone. That's it. We're in it here. So one of the things, it's not like it's a big spoiler, but I wanted to talk about, which is such a big proponent, especially the last movie, the movie before it, and even Night of the Living Dead, was the score of the movie. And this one's...
Couldn't even tell you.
I didn't even think about that because I don't even know what it would be. It's your
nothing. It's
quintessential 2005 horror movie
idea.
soundtrack.
I can say that I remember a distinct point. I couldn't tell you when it was, but 3/4 of the way through the movie where I'm like, oh, there is music in this movie. I think there was one
that goes
that there was anything happening in the background.
Right.
So that's what I would want to do on the different cut of this movie. I want to throw in some Day of the Dead music or some Goblin or something. Give it that something that gave that cockle feel. The sound of those movies before this really amplified it for me.
Yeah, that would be good. Oh, I actually want to rewatch it with that music on.
Right. Do a different cut. I'm telling you, man, we're going to do the shuttle cut of these movies, and we're going to
color grade it, make it brighter and more colorful.
Okay, it is surprising because it does actually have a soundtrack. I just looked.
Of course, it does.
Who did it?
Well, it's also this weird intermission thing because in the 2000s they started really not doing a whole lot of heavier scores and doing soundtracks music for the motion picture of. Where 2000s were just riddled with new metal and especially with horror movies at this point, you know what I mean, where it's 10 different bands and
music inspired by the movie.
But you think of 28 days later, they had a distinct soundtrack.
It did.
That was a couple years earlier.
Which is interesting that it didn't even try
But Dawn of the Dead was definitely one of those soundtrack things. That's Richard Cheese and whatnot.
Oh yes.
So that's definitely something I wanted to bring up, and once we get the Chuddle cut of these movies, that's something we're bringing into this one. We can make this movie so much better, I'm telling you. Now let's get into some IMDb behind the scenes. First off, partly based on the original much longer script for Day of the Dead, as we kind of talked about in that previous episode of what his grand idea was this city walled off from the zombies. And I feel like this one even still is a bastardized, dumbed down version of what he ultimately wanted to do. I could imagine a much bigger world being built within this city that he probably wanted to explore. I don't know.
Oh,
Cause,
totally.
Because we get that like the leader of the resistance or whatever is just mentioned and we see him at the end of the movie. I imagine that like in Romero's mind, that's a much bigger character doing a lot more within this world.
I do think that Romero, I don't know how it went about, but I feel like this movie needed maybe like another hour. I mean, granted, if he had the chance to do it, because it just felt like such
Gone with the Wind,
like a big world that we were rushing by things. We're like, oh, we're now in this like city part aspect of things. I felt like it could have been such a much more epic world.
I'd almost
than what we
go
had
as
now.
far to say that like, and this never would have happened at the time that this movie came out, but this could lend it, like his vision could lend itself really well to a like
series,
limited 1-season series.
Oh yeah,
like just give it like 13 episodes, and you can explore on
HBO.
Yeah, you could.
Because
HBO
you're
would
gonna
make
have
it,
the resistance and the zombies and Cholo and the bad guy all come together at once at the end.
Yeah, you look at it and it's told in 3 different stories. You tell, that's exactly.
Yeah,
I thought that a few times watching it as well. It's like this would do well like that, but no, it's just a rush movie.
After the like. It's weird because this is in rotation for me, but watching it like back to back for the pod, just for the recording, was like, I feel like this is a Romero movie with like an asterisk, where it's like with a lot of stipulations, where I feel like how this movie got made is it's still a Romero movie, but I feel it's a more neutered kind of Romero movie where it comes to like its dialogue. And I think some of the gut punch stuff that he did in the original trilogy is here, but in just a more studioized veneer. You know what I mean?
Sure. I will say,
but I also wonder how much is him, because he makes a few more after this, and
it's
like maybe it's a long time later.
Well, for this one, I'll say it's hard to say how much studio interference or anything like that, because there wasn't much listed on IMDb or anything like that. Besides a little bit that I found here. I will say the success of Zack Snyder's remake of Dawn of the Dead led to Universal to greenlight this.
I bet it did. That makes a lot of sense.
That was my big question after we watched it, because I was like, oh, I knew that it happened like a year earlier. So like if they must have rushed this out. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
because this came out in 2005.
It was probably like Dawn of the Dead came out, and maybe that weekend they were like, all right, because it did really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Who's got zombie movies ready to go?
I wonder if they had an argument. We're like, all right, George, I know that the last 3 installments, they didn't move that fast, but could we introduce, I don't know, like a meth zombie or something like that, where they're just running everywhere? Because running zombies are the hot shit right now.
In later interviews, George A. Romero implied that Dennis Hopper's cigar budget cost more than his original Night of the Living Dead.
Wow.
He had a lot of cigars. He was smoking every minute.
George A. Romero intended to make this film in his hometown of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. The story is set there, and it's where he made his other zombie films. However, the producers insisted on filming in Toronto, Ontario, in order to take advantage of Canadian tax incentives, creating a setting to, resemble Pittsburgh and all that stuff. But
that
sucks. It was moved out.
Yeah.
So there's some studio
interference.
Interference, whatever.
He's like, I want to be in Pittsburgh. Okay, Toronto?
Toronto? It's the Pittsburgh of Canada.
Well, because
right.
It really was like, I don't know, maybe I missed like if they mentioned Pittsburgh near the beginning of the movie. Like when they said Mount Washington, that confirmed it, because there is a Mount Washington next to Pittsburgh. But I did think like when they showed the overhead, like the three rivers coming together at the point, I'm like, oh, that looks like it's supposed to be Pittsburgh, but like this architecture is not in Pittsburgh where they're showing this is happening.
Yeah.
Toronto,
baby.
No, you don't say that second T. You want to sound cool? It's Toronto.
Toronto.
Simon Baker took on his role in this film because he never appeared in a horror movie before, because he wanted to work with George A. Romero.
Fuck yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
That's cool.
Good for
I
him.
mean, yeah, why not? I'd do it. Shit. The most expensive of George A. Romero's zombie movies. And here we go. We've included this for the last ones. A non-union zombie would make $9 per hour Canadian, while a union zombie for a minimum of 8 hours would make $158 Canadian. So I guess
wow.
Wow.
There
Dibs
goes
on
a
the
big
band
part of
name.
your budget.
Union Zombie.
Oh, that's fun.
Oh, I'm on break.
I think that is
Zombie.
a really interesting fact, given the critique of capitalism that is in this movie.
Right? And his other movies and how much he has paid zombies in the past.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and especially that you have, I guess since the zombies act so much more, I guess maybe you need to have that's what probably the union zombies are.
That's true. They had a lot more acting in this one than ever before.
Just being a zombieing around,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
doing that stuff. That's probably why it's technically probably produced by Universal and a bigger
Mhm.
company, so there's more union stuff involved in there.
I do like, it's so interesting hearing all this. I do kind of it makes me miss the days when we were covering George A. Romero with his it felt like a family kind of
Backpack.
deal. Like,
Yes.
come on to the set and we'll do it.
We'll
It
give you-
seems like we're
We'll
creating
give you a
history here.
newspaper.
Yeah.
You
And
get
now
a
it's
dollar
like-
hat in a newspaper.
And now it's like so controlled and like this has to happen and released by
Oh,
this
yeah.
time. Like, ooh.
I mean, which is, I guess, good and bad. It takes away that sort
That's
of
true.
roughness of the time, but obviously some protections in place for people earning money is important too. So it's like,
I don't know.
True.
I don't know if you have this tidbit, but do you know if it did well at the box office?
I don't have that tidbit. I can tell you what I can find a little bit about it if you.
Did any of y'all watch it in the theater?
I did.
Oh, I did not. I don't think I did.
2005? I think I did. I did watch this.
We
in
would have been.
theaters.
I would have been in our. Were you still in Orlando, Sam?
I can't recall. I don't think so.
Yeah,
Mid
then I probably wouldn't have seen
47
it in
I
million.
theaters.
plead the fifth.
I probably couldn't have afforded to go to the theater to see it at that time.
Mm.
I'd rather spend my money on fucking cigarettes and alcohol.
Oh shoot!
That was
It
in
I was
college.
in.
It came out the
college,
summer
ninth
after our
grade.
freshman year.
Okay.
So we would have been in Sarasota for
The summer
visiting.
of it. Yeah. I see what you're saying.
and I wouldn't have gone back.
Fuck it. Okay. Its budget was 15 million and it had a opening weekend of 10 million, just over 10 million.
Okay.
US and Canada gross of 20.7 million and a worldwide gross of 47 according to IMDb. 47
Nice.
million.
Okay.
so
At least it kind of
made
cemented
money.
to be
Yeah.
like, all right, we'll give you a sequel.
But of
Well,
course
we'll
it
wait a
did.
little
I
bit.
mean, it makes sense. This is a continuation of the
I was
classic George A.
excited.
Romero 20 years later. It's finally happened.
Well, this is
By that
compared
alone.
to Dawn of the Dead, which had a budget of 26 million, had a box office of 102.3 million dollars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're trying to get
They
that.
probably
old money.
made their money back at that weekend.
Yeah.
Mhm. Definitely. Moving into the history here, we are already kind of talking about it. You guys saw it.
Yeah.
I did not. I seen this at some point later on. I eventually did watch it, but it's been a couple of years since. That's my history. Otherwise, Sam, you kind of remember yours?
I probably saw it opening weekend. I have the unrated DVD, it turns out. I didn't remember that, but I was like, I should check because I probably would have gotten it when it came out. And yeah, I liked it at the time. It was a bit of a disappointment. I remember kind of like forcing
Sure.
myself to like it more than I did.
Mm.
Because by the time this came out, a year after all these other like big zombie movies still came out, I had definitely seen all the Romero movies and was very excited.
Mhm.
I know, Ross, you have the DVD as well, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you either of you know if there's like commentary on that?
There is.
Oh yeah.
Ooh,
with George
from who?
Romero, an editor, and someone else.
I was curious at a few different scenes. I don't know if I'll remember when we go over it, like wondering what they were, if they would have mentioned anything within the commentary. So Ross, what is your history?
I'm pretty sure I saw this in theaters. I think I was in this, weirdly in the same boat where like I enjoyed it, but it was a little lackluster for me in comparison to how intense some of the other zombie movies that were coming out around that time. You know what I mean? Where it's like when you got the remake of Dawn.
We just had the Dawn remake. We just had Shaun of the Dead. And we just had 28 Days Later.
So like having this, I think I have more appreciation for this movie now than when it came out, because you're in the Romero verse. You know what I mean? And I think having that 20-year spell where it's like, I also did not prep myself in watching any of the previous installments before going to see Land of the Dead. So like it really had to I had to readjust my I didn't see it correctly. You know what I mean? I think I had my I had a different pair of sunglasses on when first watching this, but then I've like a stinky cheese. As time has progressed, it's gotten more delicious.
I get it. I understand that. I feel like I have more of appreciation now of understanding what Romero was doing with his zombie-lution and stuff. I was very opposed to it. I think around when this was first happening, I just wanted my zombies dumb.
I was very anti Big Daddy. Like I thought I was not.
Were you?
Yeah, I just, it's such a.
It really makes sense when you watch them all together.
It does. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
it really does. Yeah.
I think just at the time where it was like, man, I don't know what I was expecting, but it just didn't hit it for me in my head when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But then, but like watching it now, especially during these watches for the podcast, it's like, God, this makes it so much. It's more coherent to me now than it has ever been before.
I'm very excited to continue on.
Yeah.
Sergio, first time with this?
This was a first time for both of us. But the only one, again, this is just previously said, but Dawn of the Dead from 2004 we watched, and it's so funny that we're actually we've covered some of the zombie ones from that time. So we watched for the first time 28 Days Later, and then we watched, not to forget, because Resident Evil also came out around this time, which is also zombie. So we just watched that too.
People like that a lot.
Yeah, and I do remember though the Big Daddy's face on the posters though. Like sure. I do remember, because I think he was like the main one in the posters that you saw.
Oh, definitely.
Honestly, the look of it, that poster with them emerging out of the water and just like that weird, like just
it's nice. Great. I remember, well, we'll get there. I haven't said that in a while.
Well, we're getting there right now, because we're going to move right on into the discussion about this movie here. Opening up in our post-apocalyptic world some time ago, I think something, and then the opening credit sequence happens where it's basically an introduction to what has happened, where we are, and what the world has kind of moved on to. Just like a quick little
like news footage type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So then we start rolling through this kind of like, I don't know, landscape of zombies moving throughout, working through.
And they're doing things. They got carrying briefcases, playing in the bandstand.
The band in the gazebo.
I could not with the band.
I like that the guy with the trombone couldn't get his shit together, but the guy with the tuba was able to hold that and just.
Well, you know what they're supposed to be playing, right?
Wait, are they really?
I
did not pick that up.
At the beginning of the movie, if you listen carefully to the tuba and the tambourine zombies in the town bandstand, they're playing notes from the gonk. That's what it's called. The mall music from Dawn of the Dead. Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I'm so happy that made me really happy to learn that made its way into this movie somehow.
That is fun.
Yes. And I will give all the credit is that the evolution of the individual zombie, where like by this one, like they've all got distinct looks. They all have the distinct vibes that are going on. We've got like the teenage lovers. We've got like the bandstand. I also like the emaciated puppet zombie, the blonde one that's like staring around.
Oh,
Really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
Oh God, there's some really cool ones because it shows like kind of what Dr. Frankenstein was talking about in Day, where it's like a lot of the decomposition halts or alters. And I think like that aspect was really, really, really cool to me, is just seeing the different versions of just like, just puppet zombie within the first 30 seconds. I'm like,
and
done.
It's Greg Nicotero for this one, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's, KNBFX, I think.
So it's in the family. Okay.
They reminded me a lot of
The
Walking Dead zombies in this one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, we don't have Smurfs anymore. These are.
I miss the blue faces.
Mm-hmm.
They did not rock Blueface, unfortunately.
No. Way more props.
We, at this point, are getting introduced to a few characters here as we observe them observing some zombies acting rather human-like, seemingly communicating. This is our first glance at Big Daddy himself.
Bing, bing,
Who
bing, bing. Like walking
when
out.
that zombie walks on that noise thing that brings him out to like go into his mode.
Yeah.
He's a gas station attendant or whatever he did there. And
Is he called Big Daddy at any point during the movie?
It's
on
on
his
his
name
name.
script thing.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I think maybe this is my
I'm not observant.
I think maybe this is my gripe about the evolution of the zombies, is that like it's introduced within like a minute into this film, where it's like Big Daddy who just does that and then like has the other two kind of like look over, where like you've never seen that before in a Romero movie, and clearly the people that are in this thing have never seen that before.
But at the end of the last one, I guess your gripe is your gripe, but I think it totally makes sense as the next logical step after what we saw at the end of the last one.
But I'm going to push back on that a little bit, because what we saw is a zombie who, after much experimentation and manipulation by a scientist who had the express intent to try to make it conscious, became conscious. And this is one that, this is a zombie that just happened upon consciousness on its own. And we're just supposed to like connect the dots.
How long have these zombies been out here? We're in a post-apocalyptic
Maybe
space.
it was maybe it's like the Manchurian Candidate.
Time later.
Maybe it was the ding ding that like unlocked his consciousness. Big Daddy was just being zombie Big Daddy.
He was just waiting for someone to ding ding, and that's it.
Ding ding.
I have an answer.
Oh,
Because these aren't zombies.
Oh, there's an.
It's because they're zombies.
zombies.
Oh my God! No. Shit! The rise of the zombies.
Oh my God.
This is the rise of the zombies.
All right, you know what?
Yeah, no, I get it. Big Daddy is like this. It seems like I see both sides. It does seem like this big stretch to have such an intelligent seeming zombie so, I don't know, quickly or something like that out of, I don't know, nature, as opposed to being the one that was scientific the way Bub was. But watching these movies the way we have in this kind of almost quick progression of them, I see that. We also don't really know the time frame
Today
that we have from our last movie to this point. How much time has actually come along?
I mean,
the zombies.
And this is why if it was a limited series, at the end of the first episode, we see that Big Daddy is starting to develop like more than just like,
stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay. I may have a gripe with just how fast it goes, but then like having Big Daddy zombie Messiah turning other zombies into like smart, like giving them the smarts. I actually thoroughly liked, you know what I mean? Where almost like an infection, like you have patient zero, which is Big Daddy kind of, where he's like who's actually being more proactive, I guess, than the other zombies. And then the zombies realizing, oh yeah, we can use tools. Oh shit. Yeah, we can just do this.
Well, because at some point it's kind of like again with Day of the Dead, you had that feeling of like, okay, well they are starting to learn, and you're starting to feel for these undead people. You kind of are on the side of these zombies here to prevail, because now we're having characters who are still jerks and kind of just shooting people for shooting the undead just to shoot the undead, even though we're here for missions and let's get out. I feel like I'm rooting for them to prevail for most part of this movie.
Like the raiding party that happens in this town is very reminiscent of the biker gang from Dawn. You know what I mean? We're just
to the point
definitely
where
feels
we
like
get a cameo.
That's
right.
much later on. But I know you're talking about the raid on the very beginning of the movie.
These people coming in.
Yeah.
As he's calling it. So
Gotcha.
all of this is kind of happening. We're getting to introduce to a lot of different characters. Our main character, Riley, a few different extras.
Which I called him Simon Rex before. It's Simon Baker. Simon Rex is a different person.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got to be real clear on that.
That's why Sergio had the confusion.
This is also, we meet Charlie at this point, Robert Joy, Cholo, which is John Leguizamo.
Cholo. Hey.
A few different characters and all that good stuff.
J-Leg.
He's a baby in this one.
And we also get introduced to the term sky flowers.
Sky flowers. We got to put some flowers in the graveyard.
I was like, okay, that's fun.
I actually love that. Where the fact where I'm like, God, what a fucking hilariously weird thing. And then but then all of them just like going,
Distraction.
Yeah, like that would never have been in a zombie apocalypse bingo card for me, where I'm like, God, how the fuck do I distract an entire horde? And then like the idea of fireworks, it's auditory because they're distracted by sound and light stimulus. So it's like, what a fucking amazing thing to do and be able to like loot a town and just have a fireworks show.
I agree. Good
Cody?
idea.
Oh, I was just going to say, I still like, maybe I'm just being a little cantankerous. I
Get it.
Cantankerous.
I don't like the Sky Flowers name. I feel like I don't even know what the better alternative is. I just feel like there's better alternatives.
Fireworks.
Well, I feel like,
Right. You know, obviously fireworks.
well, how do you feel about them calling it just flowers? Because that's what it seems to be like the rest of the people. It's only Charlie that really calls them sky flowers.
I like that even less because they do not resemble flowers.
And-
They resemble giant explosions.
And
in
flowers
the sky.
aren't known to be distracting. Like,
I just feel like it's something like that caught on within their community.
Well, I feel like
called,
Riley called it that. He's like got a real poetic soul or something.
it's like, oh, we got to listen to the fucking boss. Everyone call them flowers.
I actually would almost buy that, like, somebody said it as a joke and then everyone started making fun of them and it just became the accepted thing. I don't know. I just personally.
Kind of like zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably
This movie's
explored in
full
a
of
much
them.
bigger world that he originally crafted for
In
this
the
movie
limited
or something.
series.
In the limited series, exactly. We also get Riley, our main character. We learn is retiring from leading this unit, and
Good for
whatever
him.
the unit is, but they drive around this big old thing called Dead Reckoning.
Great name.
Now, the name of this military vehicle used mainly throughout the movie, Dead Reckoning, was one of the film's working titles.
Oh.
Interesting.
So it wouldn't have been Of the Dead or anything.
It's
It
a-
was just called Dead Reckoning.
Yeah. Well,
Dead
it's,
Reckoning.
it's a good name because it's a play on words. You know what I mean? It's fun.
There were 4 titles before Land of the Dead was chosen. Dead City, Dead Reckoning, Twilight of the Dead, and
Hey.
Night of the Living Dead, Dead Reckoning.
Oh,
Wait, is
boo.
Twilight of the Dead actually?
Yeah.
That was one of the names that I
Hey,
considered.
there you go.
I'm now
What?
even more disappointed.
It's interesting because it's like I think about it, and Twilight feels like it fits much more with the first 3, but this movie
Yeah.
I'm
doesn't.
glad it
fit
doesn't because
like
it
this.
almost
Yes.
separates them as a trilogy. You have like the first trilogy and the second
Right.
trilogy. It's like Star
Yeah.
Wars or something.
If they did this in a way that had maybe that soundtrack and more of that feel like those first movies did, then I feel like it earns that Twilight of the Dead title.
Fair.
The Chuddle cut. It'll be called Twilight of the Dead because it's gonna get them feels back. So from here we get to our scavenging mission. Yes.
Yeah, and maybe this is a good time to ask, how does everyone feel about Dead Reckoning? Because I have a little bit, maybe I just have a problem with everything in this movie. I don't know.
Oh my God.
I also like, I feel like it's strange credulity a little bit that like we would have a fully engineered, seemingly from scratch, like tank train thing, when I feel like you could have very easily just had it be a like armored up like RV, and it would make so much sense that this post-apocalyptic human civilization thing where there's extremely limited resources to the point that we have to still go out on scavenging missions all the time, that we would somehow have this like very sci-fi thing here.
I mean, my biggest gripe with it was the fact that they mention it so much and just keep calling it Dead Reckoning. It feels like it's just something that some like dudes just spray paint onto the side of the thing and it's called something else. I can understand. I guess I had that gripe too. I feel like I was wondering about that, if they were trying to avoid having it be that RV thing because it would resemble so much the bus from Dawn of the Dead the previous year that gets decked out, the buses that they do in those ones. And then I was also just thinking, hey, they're in Pittsburgh, baby. Isn't that like the land of steel? Can't they make
Steel City?
Yeah, they're down in the pit. They're making this shit. I don't know.
They do have a lot of welders when they pull into like whatever the shop is.
I think this is like post-apocalyptic. I'm expecting giant
doesn't bother me
pieces
at all.
of things to collect a lot of people, a lot of weapons. And in order to defeat a horde, if there ever was one. So I feel like looking at this giant Dead Reckoning thing, I feel like it makes sense for them to create something so big and
I mean,
crazy.
I could see someone designing the frame. It's all the other technology that's within it that I don't feel like would organically happen in this world that they've created.
I mean,
I see your point, Cody, but it doesn't bother me.
Totally.
That's fine.
It definitely.
I do like the little jump scares of the zombies on the screens when it's like, duh.
It does kind of give off
one
that like
kill is
Batman
awesome.
developed the Dead Reckoning with the amount of just like radar.
Riley
This is
designed
Gotham.
it.
This is
Riley-
very Gotham.
Riley designed it.
Do we know that he did do that? I wasn't sure. Because seemingly,
yeah, it's referenced a couple times, and then when he has to see Dennis Hopper, he's like, "That's my truck." Like,
interesting. I just thought
I made it.
Oh yeah. That makes sense.
That's how he had the tracker that nobody knew about on there.
But I guess I didn't get the sense that he was always going to take that when he retired. It seemed like he was ready to let
He's got
that
like a
pass
remote
on.
that can control it. He was, yeah.
Do you think he was going to pass on that remote to like Wazamo?
Well, he was going to retire too. I don't know what the plan was.
The next in line.
Maybe to give it to Charlie, but
Here,
Charlie
hold
was
it.
going to go
Hold
with
this.
him.
Maybe Kaufman, the money guy, was also. We don't know much about his pre-zombie life. Maybe he was in the industrial war complex and as like just
There you go.
or he's a arms dealer. He was an arms dealer and just had access to a lot of these kind of crazy things.
I'm also just like,
If you really look at this world like an 80s action movie, like high stake, like everything's wild like that, maybe it tracks.
Yeah.
it's. I think the only thing that I don't quite fully grasp when it comes to the structure and the settlement of Fiddler's Green is this like is the money, as in like
Why does it matter?
Well, especially in day
yes.
when like you see a bank just overturn and like the idea of like money is obsolete. There's no government. There's no nothing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like
Just
this would be resources based. I'm not asking for a Waterworld Hopper by any means. I don't need him to have like a weird eye patch and like scars all over his face, like eating people for gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
But because I do like the idea of this like a guy in a suit, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's a good bad guy to have in this scenario, but it's like I would have liked it to have been more bent on the possession of natural resources than like fictitious money, You know what I mean? Like
That makes
Well, it
sense.
seems
Or
like
especially if Leguizamo's going out on raids, why wouldn't he just go to one of these empty banks and bring back a bunch of cash?
Yeah.
oh, maybe they're.
Well, again,
Well, I
we-
do like.
Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe they're like Fiddler Green Bucks, so it's not even real
Yeah,
currency.
yeah. It's
They
their own
created
money.
their own,
currency.
Currency.
Yeah, but-
Honestly, I wouldn't put it past him. That makes. I mean, why? Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's something that doesn't bother me as much because it really seems like the Fiddler's Green is like the entire point of it is just to create this tiered hierarchy,
Mhm.
and what
Yeah.
better way to do that with than money, which has always
Mhm.
been a way to like
The more you have
separate-
it, the more you
Yeah.
rise
There's
in
always-
this specific world. It confuses me towards the end where everything starts to crumble
Oh,
and
yeah.
they
And he, like-
reach for the money.
Yes,
That's
that
where I'm
makes
like,
much sense.
why?
Well, I think that's always known and
Agreed.
it's worked. I mean, up until this point,
Oh, true,
living up
yeah.
into the zombie apocalypse, the money's still worked for him. And it's probably based on this ecosystem that he's built. And he's probably, I assume, from Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
that
it
area, and
seems
a lot
like
of
it
the
was
people there
this easy area was
from there.
well fortified to
Mhm.
set up.
Mm.
Like they probably had somewhat of a city still going the whole time compared to.
Oh, that's a really
And
good
he was
point.
probably able to maintain that
places.
with money and just kept that going. Because kind of like, I think Cody said, there's always going to be some sort of, not always, but a currency of sorts. I mean, you look at some,
It always results in that somehow,
and it
some
was
way.
just kept as money in this point, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I said this in our
You could
reaction,
still
but
just
leave it.
go get money easily.
Yeah, leave it to the rich people to like find a way.
Well, maybe they're all rated. Maybe in the beginning he was using more forceful means to make people go round up all the money from the banks. So he had like, yeah,
Seems
I
like
get
he
it.
Yeah.
would just go out further and get it. You know what I mean?
Like a Scrooge McDuck.
But the further you go out, I mean, the more that's
dangerous,
dangerous.
I understand.
especially if you
Yeah.
ain't got Dead Reckoning with them Skyflowers.
Exactly. I mean, you need Dead Reckoning or it's not that
Dead
easy.
Reckoning.
Anyway, we get Riley and his crew. They venture into the zombie infested no man's land to scavenge for supplies. We see zombies more exhibiting intelligent behavior, especially Big Daddy, the former gas station attendant, as they're shooting off the Skyflowers, and all the zombies but him are mesmerized by them. Big Daddy's not, and he's like trying to get other zombies to stop looking at them. He's like, guys, come on.
Which is
Yeah.
kind of sad. Like it's sad because he's like, please don't look around. And then especially when they started like shooting up people, he's like, please don't. Oh God. All right, move, get out.
Yeah. I mean, his journey and what he's doing, I mean, is really heroic from the zombie standpoint. And
Oh, yeah.
he is worried about his own kind.
Yeah.
Based on his actions and stuff, you'll see. The Skyflowers stop and the zombies start paying attention again. So Riley orders the crew back out of town, but Cholo decides to stick around and look for some more supplies, mainly going to raid a liquor store. So they're in there raiding the liquor store, and there's this one piece of trivia I have here, and
Okay.
I'm gonna say this is more an homage than being the actual character. So while Leguizamo goes to get that champagne, a
Is that-
zombie pops out of them.
Is that supposed to be Bub?
People say it's Bub. He has because he has a collar
Collar.
around his neck, and he looks vaguely familiar like Bub. But for that to happen, again, we don't know the time frame. Why would Bub go from Florida to Pittsburgh? Because obviously that's where he was at Day of the Dead. And then it just, I mean, that's the biggest point there. I don't think it is. I think it's
Yeah.
more a coincidence and or an homage to Bub, if anything. But he definitely has that collar on.
Now looking back at it, he does look familiar. He does look like Bob in certain angles.
This is
But I wouldn't want to believe it's
Yeah.
him.
This
I
is the
agree
moment
with
I was
that.
wondering on like the commentary, if there was any mention on the commentary about this. Sam had to step away. He just came back. I was saying when the zombie pops out at Leguizamo in the liquor store from the champagne thing.
Yeah.
Some people think that's Bub.
Oh, interesting.
He is wearing a collar that has like a little ring on it,
yeah.
and like a little bondage looking collar thing. But he is in different clothes and he looks slightly different.
See, that's where
So I was
everybody
wondering
gets
if the
mixed up.
If
commentary.
he had the
details-
headphones on,
I didn't
would
watch
believe
it with the commentary.
I did.
Commentary.
They actually say that it's not Bub, but it's just the bodega gimp that had unfortunately been stuck in there.
Who?
That's why it's the collar. You know what I mean? Like in Pulp Fiction.
Oh.
Yeah, you know how
Every
bodegas have a
bodegas
cat?
has
He's
a
making
gimp.
a silly.
Bodega has a
I
gimp.
got him there. I'm caught up now. Thank you. PowerPoint.
Ross is just CGing away over there.
Oh. Okay, Cholo is about to start, is able to shoot the zombie in the head with his like little spear gun thing. And then he grabs some cigars from a box or some shit and shakes him on the floor and is like, hey, Mike, pick those up.
Pick that shit up.
Yeah, for some reason.
Just
So
a
Mike
dick.
bends over the counter and there's a zombie there and bites into his arm. Takes a big old chunk out.
Yeah,
So
it does.
in this one, we
Jumbo
definitely
Jambo.
have the thing that's like you get bit, you're gonna have about an hour or so, whatever it is, but until you
Yeah.
turn.
Quick time.
Yeah,
So I think,
they've evolved.
but we still do. I think because we do get a person that hangs himself later that does turn into a zombie. So that's you still turn into a zombie when you die in this world.
When
it
you die.
seems.
Right.
Mm.
Whatever diseases zombies are carrying kill you quicker now.
Yeah, that's why I just say, yeah, if it's like you get super pumped up with it and an infection bite from them or whatever, just really fucking gets you. Who cares? Whatever. Mike,
Fine.
he's bitten by the zombie, and to avoid turning, he shoots himself in the head, takes his own life. Riley radios to the team, pack it up for the night, and while zooming around on motorcycles, this is like that moment Ross mentioned. Where I'm like, why are they doing any of this? Big Daddy's able to take a gun off of one of them. Which
Yeah.
Does they
go
don't
by.
know
They
that?
don't come back
there's
for
an
it. You're just
alarm
like,
to buy.
oh.
No one is. Yeah. Mhm.
At no point is like they don't get back and be like, "Oh, what? Where's my gun? What happened?"
Good
to it?"
instinct for him to keep it with him, though. That's
Yeah.
good.
And at this point too, you have the fucking Ravager, the truck thing going through and shooting a bunch of zombies and everything. You see like Big Daddy trying to like knock some zombies out of the way to not get shot. And
Aw.
yeah. Then he gets mad.
The plot
and-
armor that Big Daddy has in this scene.
Oh, he makes it out
because
unscathed
zombies to
so
the
well.
left and right are decimated by bullets,
Mhm.
and he is
He's the Neo of this.
Honestly, I would have really, I would have loved to seen like more battle damage because it is a zombie. So like you could have him get like kind of fucked up by the end of the movie and still be able to
Lose
kind
an
of like
arm
His
or something
slow
like that.
journey
Yes.
towards
would
absolutely.
give me like really gross Terminator vibes. You know what I mean? Where like he's just like
waterlogged.
exploded.
Oh, and the scene before, I think that we get some like zombie goo where he like holds one of the zombies'
Yes, and
heads
gets
and
shot
his like
off.
body's like, yeah.
Yeah.
as he's trying to like make him
That's a
move.
cool
and,
one.
and then he throws it on the ground and stomps it to put it out of its
Yeah.
misery.
Yes, he does.
Good for him. Oh my
I think-
god.
Mercy
Very
kill.
advanced.
I think one of my favorite zombie kills in this entire sequence is the cheerleader who gets the American Eagle that was on top of a flagpole, like
Oh,
directly
yeah.
into her head. It just like,
Like half her face just like pops off. Woo.
As the crew rolls out, Big Daddy's mad, and he gathers his crew essentially as an illuminated skyscraper we see in the distance. The zombies they start walking. Riley and crew they return to Pittsburgh area, and Riley's mad at Cholo for getting Mike killed, but Cholo's like he knew what he got into. Then he's dreaming of bigger things in Fiddler's Green, basically, and retiring as well, and just moving on up and living some sort
Isn't
of good life.
Fiddler like
You think they're gonna let you live in there?
Right? What about Fiddler?
Am I thinking Fiddler on the Roof, or is a Fiddler like a person who touches you?
That's a diddler.
That's a
That's a
diddler.
a fiddler is someone who has a violin.
Yeah, Fiddler on the Roof is a musical that you can see on Broadway. Fiddler on the Roof is different.
That's got a paywall.
Fiddler on the Roof. It's like, you know that famous musical about the guy who touches people?
Oh no.
Oh, thank you for that.
Oh boy.
If I were a rich man, takes on a whole different meaning.
If I were a rich man, diddle 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 diddle. Oh, we're classy. So,
Yeah.
we're back in the town.
Always.
We get a bigger look at how things are running in the city as Riley and Charlie walk around the streets. Riley needs to see someone about a car or a truck or something, and Cholo walks about to Fiddler's Green, and we get to start that kind of almost mall vibe of Fiddler's Green and him walking around with his checking things out. He's got his box of liquor and cigars, going to meet up with someone.
People are shopping.
Essentials.
I did think that the commercial that was playing on the TV was interesting because it was like the first kind of nod to the fact that this is where the rich white people are. Like, because they're just like, we are different because, well, you'll see. Like, just interesting language to be using.
And it just seems like they're all older. They're all just older people too.
And it's a commercial made only. Think about the resources it would take to make the commercial. Going back to resources, and then it's made only to play in the lobby. There, it's not being played. Where else is it playing?
Yeah, where are you watching your living room at home?
And I mean, it's everything for that place. You look at the cityscape from any distance, it's the only illuminated building.
So I like that.
Any resources going into. So it's this hierarchy.
It gives me the feel that like this was constructed during the downfall, as in someone just like swooped in and like this was like the establishment of Fiddler's.
Well, I don't think it was constructed.
No, as in like
I think it was like taken.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is that like this was all amassed and made during the dawn, basically. You know what I mean? Like Dawn of the Dead era.
Yeah.
And then it's just kind of stuck around.
Well, and I say this every time we watch a zombie movie ever, that I like, especially being so close to New York City, it's like the obvious choice, right? If you can flood the subways and destroy the bridges, like you are isolated, and once all the zombies are purged from that space, I mean, it doesn't quite work in this movie because anyone who dies turns into a zombie, but
also
figure out a way to deal with that.
They can walk through water now.
Oh, yes.
At some point.
Right, yeah.
Well, yeah.
that's
if
when
they're
you get
Romero
into
zombies. You only have so much time.
The security doesn't seem to be that good in this movie in the building, but that seems to be their role. Is when someone dies, they're supposed to come in and deal with it. They're just take their time, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how, because they turn so quickly, right? Like, do you just have constant surveillance inside people's apartments to like?
Seems like you'd have like panic buttons everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do you think Kaufman really cares as long as he's safe?
No.
Do you think doesn't that add value? Doesn't that open up space to allow more people to buy into this idea of needing to be here?
Wow.
Maybe they just never open the door again once they know somebody's dead, and just like,
oh, that one's closed.
Create the artificial scarcity.
No longer going there.
So, at this point, we also learn about the city being protected by water on two fronts, and there's this land side over here. That's the only way on by land, and it's protected by this electric fence and a whole bunch of guards to protect the city, blah, blah, blah. At this moment,
this scene reminded me a lot of Day of the Dead, that one scene with the soldiers just looking on in that cave.
You
side.
mean like when seeing what they did for this, I was like, oh, you mean what they should have done in Day of the Dead with the actual fucking military, like having electrified walls, like actual,
yeah.
Does anyone know the cameo in this scene?
In
No.
What?
Nope.
In this where
So-
the army
Roger?
people?
Yeah. The soldier who shoots the zombie that gets caught on the electrified fence is George A. Romero's daughter.
Oh.
Cool.
Yeah, so that she pops in there.
Good for her.
After this, Cholo goes to meet with Mr. Kaufman, but runs into a little zombie situation, as we were talking about, in the next apartment over, which is basically he goes to Mr. Kaufman's apartment, and Mr. Kaufman's assistant whoever he is, answers the door all scared. It's like, there's something weird going on over there. He goes to check it out. A man has hung himself, and his man's wife is very distraught. And then what? The son all of a sudden runs out and is like, "Oh my God, Dad!"
Dad. He runs in with a knife. So he had, wherever it was like he had gone to get the knife to cut him down. Is the idea I got from it.
Gotcha. So maybe they had just come home or something like that, and they discovered this because we have no idea how long he was hanging there. But by the time the son goes up to cut the man loose, he has turned and falls, wiggles off and falls and takes a chomp out of the son's neck. And
there's so many. There are so few rules in post-apocalyptic fucking like. If someone dies, I feel like there would just be this innate like just gotta kill that brain or like barricade him somewhere. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we're way too far into the rabbit hole of the zombie apocalypse for like.
You think if you walked in somewhere and saw your dad hanging, you wouldn't try and cut him down?
If I had survived like.
But you haven't. You've been living in Fiddler's Green.
That's
exactly.
right.
These are very privileged people that have not experienced the zombie apocalypse.
They don't know how it's like out there. They're starting to re-evolutionize.
They know it in some regards.
All right, you won me over. You won me over.
So this all happens. Great. Chuddle to the rescue. He knocks one of the brains out, and
I do
Scary
like
shows
that
up.
head hit. It's a solid bonk.
It is a solid bonk.
Solid
bonk.
Solid bonk.
And then we also get after this, Riley goes to check on his car, discovers that it's missing, so he needs to go and visit Chihuahua's establishment.
You got fucked.
So how do you guys feel about Chihuahua's place? We get another cameo here coming up with some zombies who are getting their photos taken.
That's right. They're British.
Yeah, we get a little British cameo.
Who is it?
We totally missed
You couldn't
that.
tell they were like,
Sound like
That's Simon Pegg.
Mm-hmm.
George A. Romero was so impressed with Simon Pegg and Edgar Wright's Shaun of the Dead that he asked them to appear in this film, the fourth part of his Dead series, and as they appear as the photo booth zombies in the carnival and barroom sequence.
That's awesome.
Did not notice. There's so much going on.
Yeah,
and it's such an eye-rolly scene.
I went back and looked at it. You can't tell it's really them. They're in so much makeup.
It's a lot of makeup.
But yeah, it's hard. It's real hard to tell. But yeah, there you go. There's another cameo.
I bet they were stoked.
Oh, they might.
Yeah.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, dude,
Who cares a
Chihuahuas.
shit? You're in a Romero zombie movie at this point too?
Oh, yeah.
Why not?
I think
Hell
with
yeah.
Chihuahua's joint, it is. It's kind of excessive.
It's very excessive.
But
This is where it's like, whoa,
This is where I
there's
feel like
so much to
there's
cover here.
that much bigger world. Again, I know we keep saying that mini series or whatever, but this really, watching this movie, it made me excited to read the book that comes after
Yes.
all of these. The Living Dead.
Wait, what? There's a book?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it last
talked
time.
about this before?
Yeah. It's called
Oh.
The Living Dead, and it was written by mostly Romero and
Oh,
wasn't
okay.
finished by him, and so they tidy some things up. But I feel like
Got
that kind of dives into more what he wanted to do with this almost Mad Maxian type apocalyptic world where the poor are very much in that kind of style and the rich are obviously very clean and looking how they look and stuff.
Well, and from what Kaufman was saying later, this is really evident of the like bread and circuses type thing. Like just keep the masses distracted by the showiness
Colosseum.
and exactly.
Which is
betting and
he does bring it
stuff.
up later on
Brings money.
where he goes like, hey, you like I had to create this thing. Hopper's character is like, yeah, I had to create these vices to like keep these people placated. So like he orchestrates all of this shit.
Oh, definitely. At this point, we get Riley. He confronts Chihuahua, and then they have a little confrontation. He also discovers, and we see this.
Wants to know where his car is.
Yeah. This woman, her name's Slack, she's being forced into a cage with zombies. and as entertainment of
survive.
sorts to try to survive or do
it's a
whatever
new
you're supposed
game.
to do.
Asia Argento.
And that's Asia Argento there, Dario Argento's daughter.
Who also was dating or exes with Anthony Bourdain when he commits suicide, and a lot of people blame her for his
Interesting.
suicide.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Holy crap! What?
Interesting tidbit.
I wasn't going to bring it up, but
I didn't realize that was who it was with. I did. Yes. No, I know of her in that context, but I didn't realize that was her.
Mm-hmm.
well, I read something like separately from this movie this week. It just like popped up on my phone that he like Googled her name a ton, like right before everything happened. So it's like suspected that there's something.
Wait, who Googled what?
Anthony Bourdain like Googled Asia Argento's name because they were like involved right before his death.
Mm-hmm.
Like a whole bunch before.
And it was a
That's
very
opening a
toxic
rabbit hole.
relationship,
Mhm.
from
Yeah.
what
Oh
I
my
God.
understand.
Shit.
Shit.
But before all that, she was trapped in a cage fighting some zombies here. I think before all that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and before this movie, she's in a Dario Argento movie called The Stendhal Syndrome. She's the lead, and she gets raped multiple times in that movie, and it's very. I
Wait,
mean, it's
by Dario Argento?
No, but he
Oh.
wrote and directed the movie and cast her as the star.
That's
so
gotta-
it's
When nepotism goes wrong.
Holy crap.
it's already a weird watch. It's not like too graphic or anything, but still, knowing her dad wrote and directed this movie.
Okay, hold up. I need a breather because the amount of lore
and
that
she's in Suspiria, the
Asia
original.
Argento lore has been given to me is immense. Oh my god. Holy crap.
process all
So
that.
that's slack.
That's slack for you. Riley decides that they're going to rescue her. Shit goes down. Shots are getting fired. Charlie,
Oh.
fucking Deadeye Charlie, literally, one shots Chihuahua from a fucking
Great
cross the room.
shot.
He's dope with
I
the gun.
love that he
Yeah,
Chihuahua
he
down.
licks
dope with the gun.
sight. I know he talks about it, but like
Yeah.
that just seemed like, oh, he's
Hmm.
it's like
Catches the light.
catches the light. But blam.
So I can mention it here, I guess. Dennis Hopper and Robert Joy previously appeared together in What a World. In that movie, if you remember, Hopper's character licks his thumb and touches the rifle sight before taking a shot.
Oh.
So-
that's
I
so
don't.
funny.
This is just a reference to doing it in there. Ultimately, trio's arrested, and while they're arrested, Slack reveals that Kaufman ordered for her execution for helping a resistance leader, Mulligan. We learn about this dude, and that's kind of the most we really get of him. I think we see him for a second.
Irish.
At this point, the zombie horde, they're continuing on. Big Daddy leads the zombies towards the city, and we see him commanding other zombies to do
Mhm.
tasks like chopping through a wooden fence wall thing.
You with the cleaver.
Mhm.
He's like, oh shit, I got a cleaver.
This.
Cleave it. You know what to do. And he does it, and they kind of break through. And when they break through that, they see there's like all these fucking hung zombies and target practice area.
Okay.
That's target
Who got
practice.
That angers Big Daddy.
Who got
Continues to anger
by the
him.
upside down zombie that just like goes directly because I
bet
did.
you did.
I totally did.
Nah.
Well, I know what your answer is going to be, Sam.
I gotta see the react and find out.
Yeah, I actually don't know. Did we got?
I feel like we got got. We usually get got.
We usually got.
Me too.
Cholo now meets with Kaufman, Dennis Hopper, wanting to celebrate as he believes he now has enough money to get a place in Fiddler's Green.
Mm-hmm.
He's
His
like,
dream.
yeah, and I like there's this nice little touch here while they're having, ultimately he's getting denied because, there's a long waiting list. And even after all these loyal years of service to Kaufman, he doesn't deserve a place here.
Mm-hmm.
I like the touch when Leguizamo comes in and he's like, oh, I know this isn't what you normally drink. It's not high enough or whatever. And like pours the champagne into like 2 whiskey glasses.
Whiskey
Yes.
glasses.
Hands
and
it to
then
Dennis
the
Hopper.
foam.
Yeah, but the Dennis Hopper goes around, puts that whiskey glass down and pours it into a proper champagne glass. and then takes.
Does he? I
drinks
didn't
from
notice that.
He doesn't take the whiskey. He just puts that shit down and pours champagne into a glass. Yeah. And does not take from.
That is nice.
What
like,
a
you
jerk.
fucking little shit. You jerk.
What a jerk.
But yeah, this is the part that we notice, him getting denied ultimately. And
This is
Coffin.
classism right there.
mm-hmm,
I'm not going to drink champagne out of that.
yeah. Kaufman tells his security that he won't be needing this man anymore. And he kind of gets escorted away. Cholo knocks the dude out, takes his gun, goes off. He's furious. And at this point, he's decided that he's going to steal Dead Reckoning. And he goes out, and while just trying to distract one of the guards, they hear some target practice stuff going on. And ultimately, one of the shooters doing that target practice is surprised and attacked by Big Daddy.
Brr.
What is that, screaming practice?
What's this?
I guess so, because they're getting, this is the real thing. It ain't practice time anymore, because now a large horde of zombies that we've been watching has pushed up against this other
lot of
barrier
zombies.
the city. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I get John's perspective on this. Is like, that's not our fight. Let's get out of here. But then also, if you're trying to extort millions of dollars out of this place, and there's a horde of zombies that is compromising that actual place, wouldn't you want to quell that first and then take Dead Reckoning so you kind of have the more upper hand? I mean, let's just go.
It's still across the river, right?
Oh, that's true.
like,
Yes, that's so true.
What's he
This
worried
is still
about?
like the outskirts or whatever this is.
This is the
yes.
little outpost where they keep
He doesn't
all
know
their
they can swim yet.
shit.
Right.
That's right.
So I guess, there's no concern. At this point, he's like, great. They're distracted. I can take Dead Reckoning. One of the guards, when they're out by the shooting practice, he's attacked by Big Daddy, and I think fucking gets taken out. The large horde pushes up to where didn't I just read all this shit? Sorry, I'm lost.
We kind of said all this, but you didn't read it all, but we said what was happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the one
So
where
he takes Dead
starts
Reckoning and leaves.
I'm just there it is. And then Big Daddy, this pisses Big Daddy off. He sees Dead Reckoning go away, and he remembers
so emotional.
This is the fucking thing that came through and killed all the zombies in the town he was in. So then he pulls out his gun and starts shooting at it.
He gets like angry,
so he pulls his
which
fist.
involuntarily squeezes the trigger, and then he's
figures
like,
out how it works.
and
it's got the
shoots
boom
at
boom.
it.
And then we
as
got
it
a lot of munching. We got a lot of eating of bodies from some zombies.
A lot of soldier death.
Yeah, certainly. So there's where you get some of the gore. A little bit starting to squeeze in a little bit there.
So there is a bald zombie. The scene is where there's a bunch of severed fingers on the ground, and then a zombie picks those up and starts eating those. That is a gentleman named Bob Tyrell. He does horror-specific, photorealistic black and gray portraits. Amazing tattooer. And had done so many. I think I don't know if he requested to be in the movie or he got asked to be in the movie, because he had done so many Romero tattoos at that point, like portraits and stuff like that. He was huge in the horror community. So when they were like, dude, you need to be in this. And he was, so him chomping on fingers.
That's cool.
It was real fun, especially seeing it in theaters. I was like, whoa,
that's really cool.
Whoa. Cause I was apprenticing at the time. So I knew exactly who it was. I was like, oh shit. Oh God.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
We also get a mean ass eye gouge bite thing.
Yeah.
The zombie bites into this woman's face and just takes out her eye. Pretty sick.
Sick. And the zombies overtake the guards, work their way closer to the city. Cholo calls Kaufman, they talk on a walkie-talkie, and threatens to destroy Fiddler's Green unless Kaufman pays a $5 million ransom. Now, did you all notice, so they're talking on walkie-talkies, did you notice how Dennis Hopper uses a walkie-talkie?
No.
Like a phone.
Like a phone.
Yes.
No, actually,
Yes.
for a phone. What?
It was so funny. Every time he uses it, it's just
God.
right up next to him. It's like, oh, he does not understand the concept.
That's so funny.
It doesn't beep in and out.
It's so fun. I noticed it towards the end because I was like, he keeps doing that, doesn't he? Anyway, Kaufman at this point tasks Riley with retrieving Dead Reckoning to stop Cholo. Riley reluctantly accepts, and he's like, I'll go as long as I could take my people with me. The other people, Charlie and Slack, were in jail. He's like, fine, I don't care, take them. And they set off on their mission. Cholo previously had with Kaufman had set up this meeting point for the drop of the money. He's like, put it here, and he leaves this young crew member to
Mouse with his skateboard.
Yeah, this is a skateboarder.
You would
And headphones.
Oh, Sam, you got a shout out in our reaction. We were we need to ask Sam how his skateboarding skills are.
So he can ride a board. I did look for that. At least ride it, but it would just as someone who can ride a board, I would never try and I would use it to get away or maybe defense, but I would never use it to try and approach things, or especially with a gun.
You mean stealthily approach something on?
Yeah, it's just not good for that. And he's got these big fat urethane wheels that would be good for getting around. And it looks like, I paid attention to the whole setup. It looks like the trucks are on risers, and it's built more like a longboard on a regular board. But then the bottom, there was no graphic, but when they throw it in the river, they have the anti-hero cut out in the grip tape, which is a deck company.
Wow. Oh my God. That's so awesome. You broke it down for us.
After this point, we go into essentially our locker room of our team getting set up and ready for the mission. Riley, Charlie, Slack, a couple other people. Charlie gets made fun of by these other jerks. I'll say it. I'll call them that. Jerks.
Yeah, they're jerks.
Yeah, they're fucking jerks, bro.
And Riley's ready to essentially fight for him, but it all gets talked down. I said there's some nice character interactions, a little bit of building between them all here. I'm starting to enjoy Charlie more as a character. He feels like he's developing more than I thought he was going to be, very one-dimensional. And
this is the scene where I start to be like, must protect. I would like to protect Charlie here.
So that's great. But this also, we learn of Kaufman, who sends along Manoletti, Motown, and Rosemary.
Yes.
Yo, they all have nicknames.
I love this crew. I want to see their story. Motown is
that
whatever,
guy,
but
the Manoletti guy is the chief of police or whatever in Grimm, which is procedural, kind of horror-ish, really. I watched every season of it during maybe early COVID, or no, I think when my son was born, I was just up all hours.
Just up all night.
Grimm.
And so then they're all together. They're tagging along and everything.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Riley and crew walk through the wreckage of the zombie horde, and he tries to warn, that just kind of came through the city. And he tries to warn Kaufman that the zombies, they're learning and they're actually walking towards the city, and you might have a problem on your hands. But Kaufman doesn't care. This was one of my favorite lines. Zombies, man, they creep me out.
I love that. I love the way he delivers it, because he says zombies, man, and then kind of itches his nose and then says they creep me out. There's something about his delivery of it that's
it's so
perfect.
Fun. It's great.
Does that not work for you, Ross? Did that fall flat?
Was
that one of the jokes?
No.
Okay. No problem. The crew, they find a car with all sorts of guns and cool shit. They're like, we could use this. So they they need to hotwire it. Charlie, cool shot of Charlie, taking out a zombie with, dead shotting a zombie, sneaking up on Slack and takes that out. While this is happening, Riley and Manoletti are searching around for ammo. I think they're doing something. But they're in a room full of zombies.
Yeah, they go to the ammunitions room.
That's right. Okay.
Because that's why he's wait, think about where you are. You can't start spraying shots.
Think about your shot.
Okay,
Precisely.
so this is where you get those gore shots that the flashlight
cool
ones. There's some really good ones. The hand in the mouth, fishing out the tongue.
Yeah.
Was
that was out of
was not that was so good. Because
I loved it.
I was like, listen, I have my experience with fisting, but not to this level. Like,
This guy was.
Nobody's ever fisted my tongue
This
out.
is, I mean, you haven't,
Jesus
Sam,
Christ.
you haven't lived, baby. No, but I think it's like
Now, if if your tongue gets fisted out, does that leave more room for cum guzzling?
oh,
I would assume
always room for
Yeah.
CG. Always room for some
yeah,
CG.
intense. Well, CG intense. So that would be where you get your CGI.
Yeah.
That's CGI.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
That's what it means.
What it?
As opposed to cum guzzling,
Just regular CG. CGM.
Normal
CGM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's also really great is that this movie does give a different maiming and ripping. Like there's like a face that gets peeled off. I think it later on in here.
Oh yeah,
But it's like
Yes, I was gonna mention that. It is one of the end ones. That one's
Towards
it's just
later, that
like
one's
second,
amazing.
but it's
amazing.
yeah.
And like this one, I was genuinely not prepared for an entire arm down a throat. You know what I mean? Where like because
it was pretty cool.
It was great.
And it looked. I want to say it's
it is, yeah, it is all
right?
practical.
Because there is a touch of CGI.
There's a
in
lot of
this movie
CGI
too.
for sure. This is the first of them to use CGI, and we're
But
not
it's
talking
a combination.
We're
They
not
still
talking about
do
the
It's like
a
a-
lot.
CGI.
it's a
We're
combo.
talking about it's the computer
Oh,
generated image, and
not the Chuddle
Not
CGI.
Chuddle CGI.
not
yeah.
a Chuddle CGI. Thank you. Have to. I mean, that's in here.
Were you actually CGing or was that CGI?
The world may never know.
Mhm.
Yep.
Back at the car, zombies sneaking up on Charlie. Slack shoots it, returning the favor. They hotwire the car as they're about to take off. Menoletti is surprised by a headless zombie, but wait, it's not entirely headless. It
I love that one.
swings its head
This
forward and
priest
bites
was
her.
right?
both wild and hilarious at the same
Right.
time. The way that it just munches onto his arm,
Now,
it was like the Tasmanian
was this-
devil.
to me,
love
I
it.
got like just a nod to The Exorcist because it's a priest and his head's on backwards.
Sure.
hmm I also like the way he's killed when it flops back and they shoot him
Through the chest and the head.
Yeah.
I've never seen a literal Pez
Yeah.
zombie before because it's like it's just this head flopping.
Literally dispenses.
Do you ever?
Pez.
Do you have those? Do you ever play those games where it's like a ball and you have to put it into like a
yes.
cup?
cup? Yeah, on a string.
Oh, that's future merch idea right
Oh,
there.
zombie.
Okay,
Brilliant.
hold on.
Mhm.
Ooh.
Priest
Love it.
that you put
Locking
the.
it in early.
They drive away, and Manoletti's not doing so well. Slack asks Riley if he knows how long it will take to turn. This is when he get a little backstory of him. He had a little brother once that got bitten, which took about an hour, and then he had to shoot him. So Slack turns around and shoots Manoletti in the head.
Mhm.
And
He's
then-
like, no.
yeah, it's like, oh shit. Yeah, it had to be done essentially.
I
Hot
do
guy
like
down.
Riley says that about his brother, and she's like, I thought you said nothing bad ever happened to you. He's like,
It
Didn't happen to me.
it didn't happen to me. It
Yeah.
happened to him.
Damn.
Like,
so
oh my
cold.
god.
So
Yeah,
cold.
cold as shit.
Oh shit.
He has another line of dialogue from early in the movie where Charlie says to him, nice shooting. And he says, good shooting, Charlie. No such thing as nice shooting. I like that too.
So
Also works. Did that one not work for you either?
No, that one I
Ross?
got that one I got a chuckle out of actually. That one was pretty good.
Riley, he's tracking the truck. At the same time, Kaufman talking about all the measures for escaping, and he's kind of starting to really put that idea forward. Riley, he's tracking this truck with this homing device you mentioned, Sam, so they continue to follow that signal. Riley has them stop real quickly, holds a gun to Motown and Pillsbury, stating that plans on stealing the truck, and if they stop him, they can get out and hang out with all these zombies now. Otherwise, agree and we'll continue on type of thing.
It's no choice.
Yep. So
No choice.
they move along. Yeah, Pillsbury's great, man. Cholo radios to the kid,
Love
waiting for the
Pillsbury.
drop,
Mhm.
and nothing's happened yet. But after this interaction, the kid he runs into some zombies. He sees like one walking by the fucking silhouetted, shoots. He's just an idiot all around.
Can I just say, you are alone in the dark, in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, and you put on whole ass headphones, listening to music
Over the ears.
over the ears, like.
Bub would
seriously?
never.
Like full-fledged Beats. He has literally like noise-canceling headphones on.
Yeah. What are you doing? Why is that even like a thing that crosses your mind? Because it's like asking for you to get attacked.
But he gets
That reminds
dismembered
me.
pretty gnarly.
Oh, yeah.
Skateboards also aren't quiet, so it's another
was
reason
thinking
why you
that
wouldn't
too.
want to sneak up on a skateboard.
Yep. I was thinking that of how like the sound, it rolls, you hear it.
Yeah.
Very loudly.
I need Sam to now like dissect like skateboarding movies now.
I'd be
kinda
happy
wanna,
to.
I want to hear your thoughts on like all of them.
If you want to see a really good one that's actually genuinely good and
Yeah.
captures the culture well, North Hollywood. It's
North Hollywood?
fantastic. Yeah, it's streaming. And that goes for anybody listening.
Oh,
I'm glad this
It's okay,
kid. Oh, sorry. I'm glad this kid got eaten by a fucking clown, by the way. Because this kid was clowning so hard that I actually audibly, the way in the theater, I think I laughed out loud when I was like, ha, he gets a clown at him.
I do like that Romero keeps consistent of giving personalities or like certain looks to each zombie that you can remember. Because I there's certain zombies that you just remember from this movie, just like the previous ones.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I like the zombies are like, now fuck this skateboard, and they throw it in the river.
This takes us to some zombies chilling on a dock, seemingly stopped by the water and just staring in
What
front
are
of
they
them.
gonna do?
Big Daddy, he works his way through and kind of like, but the light thing I want to get to is out there, but this stuff's here, but I want to go there, so fuck it. It just takes a step in.
All right, talk about nitpicking. I don't like the way he falls in, because he puts one leg out, and the way you would be doing it, and you would think a zombie would, you would just like kind of fall forward
Flop.
face 1st, but then
Yeah.
like he
He
kind
does
of
like
jumps off with his back leg and like almost jackknifes in or something.
First off, Big Daddy ain't gonna belly flop. Okay. I feel also.
Well, he was a high diver.
He was a high diver. I also have this thing where I
He
feel like
wanted to swan dive.
well,
in.
the direction might have been to fall face first, but a dude who has full prosthetics, including contact lenses that covers his entire eyeball. Can you
Oh.
imagine getting water hit on those as hard as shit? Like,
No.
I would imagine
No.
whoever actually did fall
Didn't
in
have
probably
contacts on,
wasn't
yes.
in
Yeah, 'cause
all that.
it was a further away shot
Yeah.
when we saw him. But at this point, I was like, no, they're not gonna. I'm gonna see zombies swim across. But then we were like, wait, but they're undead, so I guess they're fine. I guess they can breathe underwater.
well, they don't
Well, I
breathe.
mean, they don't. They
don't
don't need
breathe.
to breathe.
They
They're
breathe.
just, you know, rolling
Fun
in
fact,
Pirates of the
zombies-
Caribbean style.
Yeah,
Zombies.
zombies.
They can breathe underwater.
They actually do breathe underwater. That's when they are breathing.
It's the only time they breathe.
That's what the J is for, is for gills. No, wait, that doesn't do it.
Chills.
Gills.
In the meantime, Cholo, he's loading up the Dead Reckoning. He's like, the time's fucking running out, man. I'm gonna load this up with the missiles and get ready to fucking shoot this
Yeah,
building and shit.
all of 'em.
Fuck it. Big Daddy leads the horde of zombies across the river, breaching the city's perimeter. Now, this view of the zombies rising out of the river is an homage to the classic scene in Herc Harvey's Carnival of Souls, where the dead rise out
Oh,
of the
never
great
seen that
slowly
one.
before the dance sequence.
I didn't
What
know it
happens
was
to
an
that?
homage, because I think it's really awesome and effective. It's one of the things I remembered about this movie. And even I remember at the time must have been somewhat of a little boy still, because I remember thinking this part was scary.
yeah.
Mhm.
I even watching now, I thought it was pretty scary looking at how they looked at just glistening and all their wounds as they
Rising
come up,
out.
and then just in general seeing a bunch of bodies coming out of the water as they're walking towards it is pretty
Yeah.
scary.
It looks super cool, but I'm also a little disappointed by this because
no.
there's so many opportunities for you to just like have water like draining out of a zombie's side or something.
Oh,
yeah.
like it got
And-
into it. Oh,
And,
yeah, I
like,
hear you.
They come out of that like wet on the outside, but like fully intact.
Mhm.
And
fair. Okay.
you can't tell me that none of them
Could have had
had
some
like
cavities filled up.
Sure.
exactly.
I see that. Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
like have like a fish come out of it,
Ooh.
Yeah,
Or a
some
fish like
sea life.
hanging off of one.
just flopping.
little floppy. While this is happening, Kaufman loading up more money, preparing to leave. The zombies are also making their way through the city more. Do we get them attacking a couple that's making out?
Yeah.
Through the beads.
Queer representation right there.
Mhm.
Hey,
Let them make out, but then they die.
Right.
Unfortunately.
what would Chucky say?
Lesbos.
I actually think isn't the line ooh lesbos?
Yeah, it's like
Ooh,
Lesbos.
Oh yeah, it's lesbos.
Riley finds a decent place essentially to hold up and wait for Cholo. Pillsbury does this little thing with the Motown, but also ultimately knocks her out. So I guess he's on our
This
side.
was so out of left field. It was
Yeah.
so funny. I cracked up at this.
I love that moment.
Yeah, man. Pillsbury, he's a good guy.
Oh, he doesn't like nod. He goes, yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately, Riley confronts Cholo, attempts to persuade him to abandon his plan, but he doesn't. Cholo holds Riley and Charlie at gunpoint, and they get the missiles ready to fire at the tower. While this is going on, the zombies are invading Pittsburgh. We get a scene here where a soldier gets his head ripped off. This scene,
Ooh.
it's the soldier playing cards. If you notice, his name on his camouflage uniform says Rickles, which is the name of one of the soldiers from Day of the Dead.
Rickles.
Oh no.
Yeah, we got Sam doing weird things here. He'll be back in.
Sam is doubling.
We got Double Boy Sam, but he'll figure it
Double
out.
boy Sam.
Doublemint Sam. Doublemint fun.
During this,
Hey.
you good, Sam?
Yeah.
Cool.
It just dropped out.
Yeah, it happens. During this, Big Daddy's teaching the other zombies how to fight with various weapons, guns, and whatnot. A guard tries to throw a grenade at the zombies, but his arm is chopped off, and he falls on it and blows himself up, which was a pretty fun shot.
Yeah.
Maybe this is a dark comedy because I'm getting much more of the comedy now that I remember it.
Certainly.
And Ross said it was kind of a parody of movies of the felt like it, but when it came out it didn't feel like that. But watching it now, and because I know the satire he does, it almost, I'm like, wait, is it satirizing sort of the genre of this
like
type
himself?
of movie?
Like, it could be, because then you think
I'd see
about
it
it,
be
he's
meta.
like,
It's
you've
very
seen-
self-aware, I feel, in certain
Yeah.
aspects.
is the fuck, I always forget the name of this, the savage, the Ravager, what is it called?
Dead Reckoning.
Dead Reckoning?
Dead
Dead
Reckoning.
Reckoning?
I cannot remember this fucking name the whole time I was writing Dead Reckoning. I mean, if you look at it, it's sort of this like joke satirization of like the armor vehicle in Dawn of the Dead.
Totally.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
It's like a high-tech
that kinda-
version.
The idea of it.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
like. Yeah. Back with Riley and Cholo. Cholo goes to fire the missiles, but it's not working. He's thwarted because Riley has remotely deactivated
Beep, boop, beep,
Dead
boop, beep.
Reckoning's
Oh,
weapon
yeah.
systems. Motown
Mhm.
awakes and tries and goes after them and tries to shoot Cholo, but Riley knocks him out of the way. But then she's surprised by a zombie and gets her face chewed off, and then she gets shot in the head.
Blop.
Yeah.
Plop, bye-bye,
Some
Motown.
cheek gore.
Riley and crew take control of the situation right as shit really starts to hit the fan in the city. So he loads up the crew and decides we're going to head back, try to help out as much as we can. And he's like, Cholo, we're cool now. It's fine. You can leave. And he's like, I'm going to go to like Cleveland or something. I forget where he says. Some other city. I heard about a city there.
Cleveland.
I'm going to see if that's going
the
on.
Cleveland outpost. He's
Mhm.
like, we haven't heard from them in a while. He's like, well, you know, what else am I going to do?
Zombies continue to roll on through using all sorts of weapons and tools. And this is where we get, as mentioned before, Tom Savini's biker character, who was killed
Ooh.
With the
Dawn of Dead,
machete.
returns as a zombie with his machete. Yeah, you're using it.
Yeah.
This was cool.
Very
This was
fun.
exciting.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one we recognized.
That's the one
Yes.
I recognize.
For 0.2
Certainly.
seconds, like, I know it's supposed to be the biker, but he gave me like a little bit of Sex Machine vibes from Dusk Till Dawn. So like I was
Oh, similar.
I was half
They're
waiting
similar.
for Dick Gun, to be totally honest with you.
Oh, I could see it. Riley and crew continue on their way, figure out a way into the city. And while leaving the area before Cholo, he's bitten by a zombie. And he decides, you know what? I'm not going to get my head blow off. I always wanted to see how the other side lives.
Mhm.
And he's going to go back into the city. Zombies continue. They're walking through and devouring everything. A lot of neat gore going on here.
Yes.
This is where we get someone's
this is when we
face
get the
getting
real
pulled off
gore.
someone's head. This is the best way. I don't know.
I was like, oh shit.
Like through the mouth, like grabs by sort of the upper lip and peels it backwards.
It just pulls the face off
behind the skull.
It's so fun. It's so good. There's a lot of
They
really good
went
shit
all
here.
out in this. Do you think
It almost looks
some
like
of this is in the theatrical cut?
I don't know if it's that specifically, but it's
It probably
some
like
of this
cuts
gore
like
and
right
stuff.
as it starts.
Because I have on the DVD that I have is the unrated one. I'm sure I've only seen the theatrical cut once in theaters.
One time,
you know what
right,
I mean?
right. And Big Daddy, he also gives another Mercer killing on a zombie that's set on fire. He notices that, so he shoots him and takes him out. And he also picks up a jackhammer. He's like, I could use this. It runs out of power. He's like, oh, I don't understand that really, but I can still take it with me. Yeah.
I was trying to tell him through the screen. I was like, it's not going to work.
Extension cord. You need an extension cord.
You need to plug it in, man. Cholo decides to get revenge on Kaufman and is heading back into the city, as I mentioned. Back at Fiddler's Green, the zombies have made their way up to the front of it, and he uses that jackhammer, the help of that, to smash their way through the front glass. And now this is when they finally get to eat the rich.
Dude.
Yeah.
The warning that the fucking announcement goes, not that we would perceive that the Fiddler's would actually have any occurrences. If anything weird is going on, just let somebody know. And then I love that. And then the entire wall of just zombies, like, oh.
Yeah, man. Fun zombie gore again, moving through, eating, munching, and chopping. Riley,
one specifically rips
Fuck it.
some girl's belly button
out.
piercing. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Let's give you a little bit
Sure.
Is this when we get, or is it, or at some point there's the hand? It's like we just see a hand and it's like silhouetted into
it might be in and
a
around
little
this
later.
it
area.
gets
yeah.
ripped in half.
Yes.
Like split
that.
like
Yes.
a banana.
Mm-hmm. But the banana split on the hand. The handana split.
Banana split.
Ben hand and slip. Slip?
Slip. Whoa.
Dead Reckoning, still trying to make its way in, is stuck at a bridge, so Riley needs to get out to lower it. That's when all these zombies kind of like start moving up in on Dead Reckoning. And
This is a fun zombie kill when he comes out and has to, and sort of fights the one and holds it over the railing, and the bridge comes down and knocks the head off.
Oh, yeah.
just falls into the water. Yeah, that's a neat one too. And so he gets back to the Dead Reckoning, and has to like jump onto the roof to be able to get in. And ultimately, they're able to get out of the situation pretty okay here.
There's some
also-
little comedy bits here.
There is something that we need to have an honorable mention here, though, too, is that like as he's like getting ready to climb up on the roof, when the zombies are surrounding and like pawing away at it, you see one pawing so hard it literally like rips the fingernails.
Oh, their nails.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, gross. Ugh, I hate nail gore. It's the worst kind of gore.
That one was really good because it happens simultaneously. So it's not even just like one of them, like one snaps off. They all just go, bloop,
All of them.
audibly winced. I just went like,
Audibly wins.
Gross.
At this point, we also get this group of survivors that have been running out of the city and come upon the electric fence, and they can't get through. And the
Which I do
zombies
like-
slowly approaching.
I like earlier when I think Riley calls them, hey, cut the power to the line so people can get out. He's like, we've been trying the power station. They're not answering. No one's there. He's like, and you know what? Nobody's here either. And like, they all just run away.
later.
Yep, pretty much. So they get pretty screwed by that. Riley's crew is like, let's shoot off some sky flowers. Hopefully that'll help. This works for a second. All the zombies look up, but then one looks down, the others look down, and they're like, sky flowers ain't shit no more.
I'm hungry.
This is an oh fuck moment.
Yeah,
I gotta
absolutely.
admit, I'm like, oh, you kind of forget that they're now thinking on their own a little bit.
Mhm.
Oh, this sucks.
And that businessman dude's like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Also, they picked the perfect businessman looking dude to be there. He has his whole getup ready with, I think, a briefcase.
Yes.
With him.
He's just ready for
I can't
business.
forget my papers.
He's a businessman.
When I get out of here, I got to get some work done.
Kaufman, he's fleeing. He has a little run-in with the zombies coming through, and specifically Big Daddy shoots at him a whole bunch and misses.
Oh my God.
or hits him. But
Though,
like,
when Kaufman is first escaping and he gets out of the elevator, and there's the other rich guy who he's been talking to.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's that? He's like, it's the money. He's like, whose money? And he's like, oh, wait, get down. Who's that? And shoots the guy in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And then he gets the phone call from Riley, and Riley,
We got
the
everything,
walkie-talkie
right?
call. He's like, I have Dead Reckoning. I got Cholo. He's like, if I had known this sooner, I might not have done something that I just did.
That was pretty
is
good.
the funniest part of the whole movie.
Yes.
I fucking love that part. That's like the one thing that I completely remembered.
That one landed for me too.
wonderful. Great. So he then flees down to the parking garage, hides in his limo while his assistant has to run out to open the garage. He's ready to escape. But
I was also rooting for his assistant. I was like, this guy better not fucking die.
Right?
and presumably doesn't. I mean, Big Daddy makes his way over and the dude runs off. We really don't see
Yeah.
him anymore.
Which is the best decision I could have hoped for. I'm like, yeah, leave him.
Mhm.
Leave him be.
That was really funny.
definitely.
Him just like running up that fucking ramp into the horizon just to never be seen again.
Just
I'm gone.
should never be seen again.
He says like, see you later, Mr. Kaufman, or something.
Big Daddy finds a gas pump, which is right next to the limo. And he's like, oh,
Which,
I
as
know
we
what
know
to do
from the
with this
beginning,
shit.
yeah.
Yeah, so he fucking like punches a hole into the limo essentially and sticks the nozzle in and fuels up the car.
I had no idea that I have a fear of that. Like seeing the fuel
The gasoline
nozzle
going into
stuck
the car?
in the glass and it's just filling the car with
Yeah.
gasoline. I'm like, God, I hope that never happens to me. Oh, fuck.
God, I hope an undead man doesn't break my windshield.
I don't even care about that.
And I hope that when it happens, I don't remember how to open the door and just exit the vehicle.
Because he could have at that point. Oh, no.
Well, in a second,
There's a
'cause he
zombie
does.
outside.
I mean,
The
He
guy
does
does.
eventually, yeah.
he sits there for a lot
Well,
longer
Big
than I
Daddy
would.
was there before, but then he left.
Into the car.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, Big Daddy just walks away. You're like, okay. So then Kaufman gets out of the car, gets another ammo clip from his bag, and he encounters Cholo coming back and shooting at him
But in the shadows.
in the shadows. Shadow
Cholo.
and it's Cholo and shooting his gun at him, and it's ultimately revealed that he is a zombie. I think he's a zombie
Is
the whole
this one?
time.
Yeah, he's a zombie the whole time.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so,
right.
yeah.
Me
Okay.
too. Is this when he says something racist to him?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there a way to say it without, if you don't want to say it, you don't have to, but
Do you want me to say it?
are you comfortable saying it?
Yeah. He calls him a spick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess compared to Day of the Dead, that really just flew by me.
Yeah.
But he says it like once out of like anger, but I think that was the only moment that I was like, we're back in the dawn of
Yeah.
the dead.
You're like, oh, shit.
Moment.
But it's always the bad guys saying it.
And he's getting attacked or whatever by Cholo at this point. Big Daddy comes back with a little gas can of fire thing, rolls it down, and
It's like a propane tank on fire or
something like that. Yeah. Which catches everything on fire, blows up Cholo and Kaufman. And that's the end of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not bad. I feel overall this whole sort of ending kind of fizzles out after all of this stuff going on. There's no like real huge tense. And we did it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure. I can see
That
that.
was kind of what I was feeling at the time too.
Because I kind of feel, even though I was rooting for some people to survive, I do think too many people survived by the end of this movie.
Oh.
Like of our core group.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
somebody
There
like
was
keep Charlie alive, but maybe Simon Baker take one for the
totally.
team, you
Well,
know?
it's like even B Squad lived. You know what I mean? And usually in a Romero movie, like
Pillsbury would have totally died.
It totally would have died.
In honor of the, but
Yeah.
it didn't happen.
I think what they probably did was like the whole group that just gets eaten. Like all the survivors that get like are at the electric gates that just get eaten.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's supposed to be our puppy in this. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, they're all going to survive. And they're like, oh, wait.
And then they get
they
blown
all
up.
got eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They all get eaten, and
then
Riley
that's
decides
it.
to blow them up. Pretty much.
Yeah.
But there were more survivors.
Because then all
Behind
of a sudden
that.
our Mulligan man appears again and revealing that he saved a whole bunch of the city's poor residents or something.
Mm-hmm.
And Riley and Mulligan have a chat for like a quick minute. Then they part ways,
yeah.
each leading their
Cody,
own group off.
what was that look of disgust I just saw across your face?
This part also, I was just so like, how is it that this massive group of people were they just hiding somewhere and
Like
letting the
right
zombies
around
attack
the
all the
corner?
rich people? Because
There were
they're
giant explosions.
right there.
Right.
They're right there, and they're all fine. Like I just,
Mhm.
I don't quite get it.
That's fair.
Mhm.
Very fair.
They're,
See, this is the second film that you don't know about is that they're all hiding in these safe hatches that the resistance made in case of a zombie invasion. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
again, I feel like that's the
They
biggest
got to
scope
take care of
this
themselves,
movie.
right?
Like
We don't know what their
Mhm.
protection system was like.
in the
Yeah.
miniseries, you learn about all
Yes.
the resistance locations and all these safe spots. That's where he hides them, and then yeah.
And in the miniseries, they were actually probably raiding Fiddler's Green when the zombies made it there too. You know what I mean? It's all convalescing. It's all coming together at the same time. It's a confluence convalescing,
Yeah.
you guys.
whole lot of CG.
Everyone decides we're going to part ways. I'm going to get in all our fucking dead reckoning. We're going to go ahead, go north. This is going to be great. Oh no,
Yeah.
quick little zombie scare. But I guess Pillsbury saves the day. What
Yeah.
even was
Tosses him
Like
off,
fucking-
claps his
like
hands.
Andre the
like
Giant.
a bouncer.
this? Yeah. And then witnessing Big Daddy and the zombies leaving the city, Riley decides, we're going to spare them. They're just searching for a sanctuary too.
Yeah.
And
Which
they-
is where
Message.
humans are. Their sanctuaries are where people live.
right. Like they want
Well, this was where I was a little conflicted because I was like, I know there's a message. I know this is supposed to be telling me like, they're starting to become their own way of thinking and stuff, but they are
still
zombies. And
just
they will
killing.
I don't think they
Devour
just
us.
want to be left alone. They also want to eat you.
They also want to eat, so we need to set up a system. Maybe we work
They're-
together.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's like there should be like a zombie human council.
Yeah.
Something.
So how much gas do you think Dead Reckoning eats? Did you think they probably got about 20 miles outside of town and just ran out of gas? Or is it biodiesel? They just have to go to McDonald's. That's their whole thing. They're actually fueling it on biodiesel, so all they have to do is just go to McDonald's all the way up and get that fry, that fry oil.
Take the major interstates.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty sure, based on the technology in this thing, it's a proton drive.
Ooh.
That
Yeah.
makes sense. So that's it. They drive off shooting fireworks into the air. Sky flowers, excuse me. The only other things I have here are much like Bub and Day of the Dead. Big Daddy doesn't eat anyone. He kills out of revenge, but he doesn't eat anyone. All the other zombies, of course, do. And this film continues, this IMDb behind the scenes. This film continues the evolution of zombies within the Dead series. In Night of the Living Dead, zombies are portrayed as mindless, instinct-driven creatures capable of only the simplest of actions, like opening a door. In Dawn of the
Using
Dead,
a rock to break a window.
yeah. In Dawn of the Dead, they're already using primitive tools and are said to have had rudimentary memories of their previous lives.
Mm-hmm.
In Day of the Dead, they show explicit capacity for learning, actively avoiding dangerous places, conditioning, reward-driven behavior, and more complex actions like speaking, aiming, and firing a gun. Land of the Dead, they show the basic emotions like sorrow and resentment, display much more complex problem-solving behavior. Mainly, obviously, Big Daddy, but it seems like once he opens the eyes of other zombies, they start expressing and feeling a little bit more. And Yeah, and even organizing them to armed groups. This implies, so maybe there's some implication with enough time, zombies can regain some more cognitive abilities. Maybe it does kind of spread once one gets smart enough that could get others to get smarter.
Ooh.
But again, they all are just going to cities and probably wanting to eat people.
Right.
So
it's like starting like evolution message, and it's like yay, it goes, but also
Yay, but
we're
like...
also still cannibals, and we're not even cannibals. We're going to eat you. We're going to eat children if we have the chance to.
Oh,
but I mean, for all just zombies, or excuse me, zombies.
Oh yes,
respectfully,
with respect.
Zombies breathe with their gills.
And zombies breed with their gills. And with that, we're going to go over to Sam's final thoughts.
I don't have any.
Wonderful.
No.
Let's go take a break real quick and jump into our crematorium. All right, we're back from our break. Thanks for hanging out during that. And I'm sure it was very daunting and trying.
Mm-hmm.
But
we were CGing on the break.
Whoa.
On our own.
CGI.
On our own,
yeah,
just CGI or just CG?
Oh yeah, we're just sounding like
CGM
reptilian monsters from Enemy Mine.
Okay. Anyway, would we survive this movie? How would we survive?
I mean, just be respectful of the zombies, man. Like, you don't gotta run around.
No, but they have a vendetta against us. They're gonna kill us no matter what.
But do they have a vendetta against us in general, or just because we just run up into this town, shoot them all indiscriminately?
But we're associated with them.
Right. We're living in Pittsburgh.
There's innocent people who got
We're
killed.
not in Fiddler's Green, but we're, there.
Living in Pittsburgh.
I was living in Pittsburgh.
I think we could. We could survive. I think. See, this is a weird one though, because it's like all the rules that we knew about zombies surviving this are now flipped on their head in this installment a little bit. You know what I mean? Like they're learning, they're using tools, they're breaking down defenses they're usually not used to.
Yeah.
So I feel like there would be.
They're a lot more sneaky too. They sneak up on you a lot more.
Yeah.
We got zombies who are like half on with their head, flipping their head over and biting us.
Okay,
that's kind of
out
crazy.
of all of us. I feel that we would most of us would survive. I would be killed because I would.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. I was like, just say my name.
Yeah, because I would do one of those. Like we'd have a huge zombie battle, right? And like we murked like 100 of them, and we're celebrating, right? And then I lean on like a door frame behind a beaded curtain. And that's when 100 hands come out and then suck me off screen.
Great. Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
Suck you off screen.
What do they do next?
I think I would die by like circumstance. I think I would be like the person waiting at the electric fence and be like, oh no, what do I do? And then, or I'm walking by when it's all clear and then I get blown up because they didn't see that I was just a normal person.
Finding a tool to try and break that electric fence. It looked like it's just a wire.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
or maybe there's a pretty big gap. Eventually I might try and dive through, like if zombies are coming,
Initially,
right.
Initially, I thought it was gonna go dark by like the businessman. I thought like, oh, you look like a jerk. So I thought he was gonna just throw people as like a shield.
Oh yes.
into the electric fence. I thought it was gonna get dark, but it didn't.
I kind of wanted to get dark.
Good job. Does this movie need to be any gooier?
I don't think so.
Just brighten it up a bit.
Yeah, I would say like.
Yeah, I would say brighten it up. Let us see it a little bit more, but I do like what I see.
Yeah, it's got the right amount.
All right, our villain levels here. Dennis Hopper.
Dennis Hopper, yeah.
Yeah, capitalism.
I'm screwed either way. By the people and by the zombies. By Big Daddy.
I think iconography for this particular zombie horde.
Dennis Hopper.
Zombie
horde isn't the bad guys. Zombies are good.
The zombies are good. Yeah.
The zombies are. Yeah. I sorry. Go on. I think I agree with you though.
Yeah, I think it's iconography. I feel like the poster hits. I think like there's a lot of visual stuff that's really good with this. I wouldn't necessarily give it like maybe like a 3.5 on iconography, maybe, okay. And then power level, they're zombies, but I think whatever I gave the previous zombies, I have to give an extra point to, because now they can actually use tools and firearms and strategy. You know what I mean? So maybe like a 3. So 6.5.
Okay.
So Dennis Hopper, I'm gonna give like 1 for iconography and 1.5 for power, because he's pretty powerful because of his money and connections, but he's just like a guy.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So 2.5 there, even though I've always remembered him being the villain in this movie. So in a way, it like when I think of this movie, I'm like, oh, that's the one with Dennis Hopper as the bad guy in the big tower. But when I think of Dennis Hopper, I don't think of this movie. So 2.5 there. And then zombies, it's so variable. I don't know. 2 and 2. I don't think their look is particularly iconic. Although I guess if you do Big Daddy, I do remember him. Still, I think it's low. I'm fine with 4.
Sure. I'll give it a 2.5 to each of those. And I'll agree with your Dennis Hopper. Cody and Sergio, you agree that range? Feel good? What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Love it. Does this deserve a sequel?
I probably would have let it go here after seeing this one. It's the first one I've watched that I haven't been like, need another one.
Itching for more.
Yeah.
I agree.
Unless you can get like unless this directly leads into Dead Reckoning turning into a Mad Max style road warrior.
I almost wonder if they ended it the way they did, hoping that they could do a direct sequel to this one.
Well, Dead Reckoning showing up to another city or town or something like that. But I agree. I think we don't. I don't need a whole lot.
We got 2 more after this.
Yeah,
there's 2 more. What are those called?
Oh yeah, Diary and Survival
of the Dead.
I'm starting to worry that this is going to be like a zombie version of what I call the supernatural problem, where Supernatural like should have ended at the end of like season 8, and yet it went on to season 15. And so like at some point, like you can't go further than someone is the devil, and then you do. And I feel like it starts to get more difficult to like make the villains more villainy, except in this case, it's there is a, what's the word I'm looking for? There is a set number of humans that are not zombies still. And like civilization can only continue to collapse so much until you're at the point where like it has to be an individual story of somebody up against like a bajillion zombies, because that's all.
Well, because then that would be like War of the Dead, right? Like eventually you would have to be fighting a army of zombies.
Yeah, I feel like, especially now that like the zombies are starting to become more conscious, you could maybe try to take it that way in like a big like end gamey sort of thing where it's like, this is humanity's last hope. But I feel like if you keep trying to do this, it's just going to get repetitive after a certain point.
In terms of sequels, I feel like this one didn't really, at least for me. I know that like they're starting to think on their own, but that was introduced in Day of the Dead. And I feel like a new element to that wasn't really introduced in this one, except just expand what was already introduced in Day of the Dead, you know?
Oh, for
so
sure.
I feel like it could have sealed with a button with this one.
Yeah. We don't, let Big Daddy just go out into the horizon.
Yeah, right. Happily ever after.
Great. Now, would you buy this soundtrack or score on vinyl?
No, but it's out there.
I think we already kind of discussed
it's out
that
there
one.
if you want it.
Is anything it's there? Is anything action figure worthy of this one? Do you want a Big Daddy?
I'd take a Big Daddy.
I'll take a Daddy.
I feel like you don't just...
I'll take a Big Daddy. I do want like a sculpture of the water of him coming out.
Okay.
Just the head.
Bath floaties would be cool.
Or maybe
yes.
maybe that's my popcorn bucket. I think that would be my popcorn bucket.
But where's the hole?
You're gonna have to find out.
You'll find.
I mean, at
find
this
out.
point, you just really got to lean into the Dune 2 of it all with the popcorn bucket and have it be like the person who's like throw the zombie breathing
Oh
into.
yeah.
Yes.
But-
the mouth.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
the popcorn bucket's the mouth.
But
that
I
you
think,
pull out,
like,
yeah.
For the action figure specifically, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity if you have just Big Daddy and he's not also doing the yell that he does in every scene that he's in.
Oh yeah, that's cool.
Like
That
it
would be
needs to
cool.
have a little like pull string where he goes, "Ah!"
That was good. That was more
I
like
don't know if-
concerned Big Daddy, but that was good.
He is concerned.
He is concerned. He's very concerned.
It's not an action figure, but I would like a Big Daddy. But I'd like him like how they had the Macho Man Randy Savage or the Hulk Hogan plushie dolls.
Or is it the stretch
Those
sheet?
like
Oh no! Oh yeah,
You
yeah.
want a
Wait.
plushy Big Daddy.
Yeah.
I want a plushie Big Daddy.
Oh, that's
Pillow
cute.
sized, human pillow sized.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
that's
know what you're
cute.
talking about.
I'll take I was thinking like a playset toy of Dead Reckoning. You know,
Oh,
you
yeah.
can put the
Oh,
figures
yeah.
in there and shoot. It shoots missiles and skyflowers.
Oh
and shit.
yeah. that
I'll
was
take
good.
John Leguizamo too, just because I could always use a John Leguizamo action figure.
Yeah, and I want a Dennis Hopper figure.
I
Yeah,
mean, you
Same
could,
reason.
you could really just, and I know we're like sort of bordering on the merch question here too.
Let's go right into
Is
it.
you could do because I have a whole bunch of ideas for merch. So you could have the action figures of everybody with like an RC Dead Reckoning, where like you can have
Oh,
little
yeah.
like Nerf gun missiles that shoot out of
Love it.
I want a Lego set of Fiddler's Green where you can like open it up inside and you have the like
Oh, that one. That's
Little
good.
mall area.
That's-
and
Oh my god, I want a Lego Fiddler's.
and
Yeah.
my last merch
Just
idea
make one.
I want a Land of the Dead Risk game where you have like the setup of Fiddler's Green and all the different like the
Oh,
You could have
water,
the little
yes.
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
yeah.
And
That
then
would
you have like
be a
the
fun
resistance, zombies,
board
and then
game.
survivors. Yeah. I don't have anything better than that. That actually I can't top that.
I do want to piggyback on. No, I'm not piggybacking anything. I just including my thoughts.
Big Daddy.
Well, I feel like this was the era of every movie having a video game off their movie. I feel like Land of the Dead would have been a great.
There
like,
is one.
there is one.
Wait, there is what?
in the DVD when you pop it in, it goes, they have like in a world with the Land of the Dead and this, and like they just show this whole preview
Okay.
of the video game before the movie starts.
Oh, okay.
It's called Land of the Dead Road to Fiddler's Green. The game is a prequel to the Land of the Dead film taking place during the initial outbreak of the zombie pandemic.
Oh.
Players take on the role of a farmer
Oh.
named Jack, who one day finds his farm besieged by the undead. After finding the other nearby farms desolate, he makes his way to the city, hoping to find help, but instead finds the city in ruins, overrun by the undead. Jack later learns about the existence of a safe haven located within the city and makes it his priority to reach it.
Now,
Okay.
I would bet actual money that you go from a farm to a mall. Like, I feel like
Does
the
it
game
include
is
all
going
of
to
them?
put you through day, dawn. Yeah.
That would be pretty
like-
awesome. I'm wondering what
Honestly,
console
it kind of
was.
makes me want to play the game.
Me
to,
too.
Just to fill in the story, or I'll just read the story of the game. I could do that too. I just want to know what's going on.
Watch a playthrough.
Oh, that's true. You play through.
Brian, can you do
So
that
there you
for
go.
me? Can you play through it and I'll watch you do it?
Sure. Got you. Any other merch or prop anyone
I
want?
do have one other idea. I want a zombie,
Ooh, prop.
like specifically led by Big Daddy workout video,
Oh,
Wait, that's so funny.
where it like guides
That'd be
you
good.
through the like how to get jacked like Big Daddy.
Oh, it is on
Oh,
PC
yeah.
or Xbox.
Ooh,
So I think we could get it for PC.
all right.
All right.
I'll take the
I would-
skateboard for a prop.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't take
nice.
up too much room.
That's a great one.
Because I was going to say Dead Reckoning, but come on, what am I going to do with that?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say I'd love to get jacked with Big Daddy.
Getting jacked. And it's just him with the jackhammer.
Yeah.
Just doing all
Guys, just a
different kinds
warning,
of
do
things.
not Google that. Do not Google
Don't
that with Big
Google that.
Daddy.
Or do if you're curious. Why not?
I would
It's like when I taught you about Pogs.
I would get the puppet female zombie from the opening sequence. That
that's a
one
cool
would just
one,
be
the
in, like, a shadow
emaciated
box.
one.
Yeah.
Wait, are we talking props
I'll
now?
take
Props?
Riley's little I'll take Riley's little transponder thing that he
Sure, that
uses to
controls
find.
it.
Mm.
That's small enough.
Yeah.
and
Actually,
that'd be a fun little thing.
I want Chihuahua's suit.
I want
Small
Kaufman's
enough.
bags of money. That's my props that I'm taking.
Ooh.
Give me those
Nice.
bags of money.
Yeah.
Give me those. Give me
I'll
those
take the tower.
fiddler's
I
bucks.
listened to
Taylor's
a
Green.
really interesting episode about how prop money in Hollywood is made of the economics of everyday things.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
And it's
Check it
really
out.
strict. It's actually fascinating.
Whoa.
I'm
Okay.
sure.
You know
And now,
why
did
it's
we guys
really
have
strict? Because it wasn't until Rush Hour 2 or 3. It wasn't the first. Maybe it was the first one. Anyway, money's flying everywhere, and it looks so real. Everybody took it. It was in Vegas, where it was. The scene was.
Oh, I think that's
took it and
2.
spent it in the casinos. It like ended up blowing down to the strip, and it caused this like huge problem. So then all of a sudden it got cracked down on really, really hard, and it shut down the filming of the movie.
Wow.
It was a huge thing.
Oh, wait, no. I think that was Rush Hour 3. I think it was 3. I like the Rush Hours.
Cool. Promotional popcorn buckets? Anything besides anything we've said?
No,
besides
the
everything we
mouth,
said?
Nah, I'm
the
good.
throat,
Mouth,
fist
yeah.
in the throat, mouth, Big Daddy.
Love it. Let's move over here.
I only want your fingers.
Should we all, like, cut our fingers open and bleed on it?
Can you wrap your fingers around this?
I'll take a Voorhees burger and a side of Jason's fingers.
Show them.
It's time to pull out our machetes as we rate this film on our Chuddle scale. On the show, we like to use our subjective rating scale of 0 to 5 fingers. Each cut off finger adds to the score, with more fingers equaling a higher score. We'll go ahead and go Ross, myself, then Sam. What you giggling about, boy?
So Brian I was putting my thumbs up. So we have our score sheet on a spreadsheet, and Brian has made it fancier by putting the actual logos for all the movie titles in.
Oh.
I'm just now seeing this. And so as he was talking, I was looking at it, seeing how far up he went. And there's one he just skipped, and it still has the text in there without the actual movie title. And it's The Greasy Strangler. So that's what I was laughing at.
Oh, my God.
You're like, I'm gonna take the effort. Okay.
It came from whatever.
Looks good. Cool. Good job. Who's going first?
All right. Engaging. I'm going to give the full one. I'm engaged pretty much every time I watch this movie. Sticky's going to get a 0.5. I remember a lot of stuff about this movie, but like, unlike other Romero ones, I barely remember any of the dialogue, shy of like some like one lines, like zingers. So yeah, it's not as sticky as the other Romero ones for me. T-shirtable is also going to get a 0.5. I think it's it boils down to like, which Romero verse like shirt are you going to get? And I feel like Land is kind of mid tier, but there is so much cool stuff in this movie that if I saw the right one, I would absolutely pick up a Land of the Dead shirt. Cockles is going to get a 0.75 for me. It's a Romero movie. It's good. It's just, I don't know, the gore, it's fantastic. So like I think that I would have wanted a little more gore, but what you get in there is, as in like seeing it a little
You
more.
always
a
do.
lot of it. Of course I do.
Yeah,
But
that's
what
fine.
you get is it's so good. It's just fantastic. It's like, it doesn't nuke the Cockles. You know what I mean? Like we don't get that like, I don't know.
I understand.
Yeah. And then rewatchable is going to get the 0.5 for me because I feel like this is almost like this is my dessert zombie movie, as in like if I am still hungry after night, dawn, and day, I will pop in Land. You know what I mean? But that's very
Not if you were
rare.
ever stuck on a desert island. You would want to watch
Desert
Land of
Island.
the
Yes,
Dead.
yes.
It's hard to
exactly.
say.
So I have no idea what number that.
3.25. How's that feel?
You know, yeah, I think I feel good about that. You know what I mean? Like I had it between like a 3 and a 4, but I think like 3.25, 3.5, maybe on the re-ratings. But yes,
next year.
Or
next year. End of this year.
End of the year.
Sure, I'll go next, and then Sam, you can clean it up, and then we'll go over to our guests. Engaging. So this was what I was definitely looking forward to, I guess, to see how the rating would come out, because I was always kind of curious about it and never really put our scale to it. So engaging, I'll give it the 0.75. I'm pretty engaged with a lot of it. I mean, it doesn't take much, just over an hour and a half. So I was able to stay, you're able to stay in it. The action moves, unfortunately, pretty quickly to the detriment of some story a little bit here, but 0.75. Sticky, I'll give it a 0.5. I mean, I remember, this is the Skyflowers one. This is the Tower one. This is the Dennis Hopper one. I remember like these little beats to it with specific, maybe lines of dialogue or stuff. I might remember more now, but 0.5 here. T-shirtable, that's tough. I'm wiggling between a 0.25 and a 0.5. I'd probably put 0.25 for now. And if I need to change anything based on feels, we can mess around with that one.
Nice.
I'm not dying for this shirt. I'd take one. I'd wear one, but
are you
itching for one?
Are you undying for the shirt?
Maybe a little bit, just a little bit of undying. Cockles, 0.75. Again, I like living in an apocalyptic zombie world, playing with it. I had more fun with it this time, just seeing what zombie or Romero's playing with and evolving his zombies too, and just I can't help but feel a good way. I mean, it would have been blasted, obviously, if I think that would have been hit much harder if the soundtrack was there. Would have helped.
Oh yeah.
Rewatchable, 0.5 as well. I'll give it, and that gives it what, a 2.7
2.75.
That feels on kick T-shirtable up to the 0.5. I feel like a 3 is good. I was surprised to say I enjoyed this movie more than I thought I was going to, but I didn't love it by any aspects or means, but a 3, I feel like I enjoyed it just above average, I think.
Yeah. Cool. The last thing you said about enjoyed this movie more than you thought I would, I definitely did too. It's not for whatever reason in my memory, it became something I didn't want to go back to and didn't really like.
So go ahead and lead us off.
Upon revisiting it, I think I certainly liked it more than I expected. Engaging, I will give 0.75 to. It is there, but it is not there.
Sure.
And I just kind of miss things, I think, as we were talking about it. Some of the scenes are there's so much going on. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not paying that much attention. Sticky, I'm actually only going to give a 0.25 to, because I remembered certain very core things to it, but in general, I was like when we first saw those resistance people, I thought they were going to be in it at the end and not just kind of never seen again until it was over. And I don't know, granted it's fresh right now, but I don't know how much is going to stick again later. T-shirtable, I'll give 0.52 for design stuff being cool. I don't really want a Land of the Dead shirt. It would have to be really cool for me to want it.
Sure.
Cockles, I'll also give 0.75 to. I expected them to be pretty low from my memory of it, and I expect that for the next 2, even though I've only seen Diary, I haven't seen the last one. Which brings over to rewatchable. I thought would have been 0.25 going into it, but I think it's 0.5. I'm not into seeing this again, and that gives it a 2.75, which I also want to get it to a 3, so I guess I'll kick up Sticky since that's my lowest. And there we are.
Oh, how funny. I love it. Beautiful. So that's a 3 from you. All right, we will go over to Cody.
All right.
Dun Done.
So I think for engaging, I'm going to give this a 0.5. I stick by what I said at the beginning of the episode where like, I think given reasonable other distractions, this movie is not keeping my focus. For sticky, I want to give this a 0.75. You know, I don't know that it deserves a full one, but Big Daddy will always have a place in my heart.
Yeah.
And, you know, I
He
like
means me, by the way. He means me.
and I think that you know, overall, a decent amount of this will stick with me. T-shirtable, I can't in good faith give this more than like 0.5. I can't think of a lot of like cool shirts that I would want to wear from this unless you like kind of stretch a little bit. I could see maybe like the zombies attacking the people in like Fiddler's Green and having it say like "Eat the Rich" or something like that. Like that I'd be down for maybe, but I can't think of much else other than like them coming out of the water, like stuff that would have been on the poster or something anyway. So
Fair.
I think a 0.5 feels right there. For cockles, I'm going to give this a 0.75. This movie made me really root for the zombies for the vast majority of it. And I enjoyed it. It was a like fun watch in that sense. And then rewatchable, also give this a 0.5. You know, it is what it is. It's definitely not a 0, but it's definitely not a 1. So I'll stick right in the middle. And I think that puts me at a 3.
It sure does.
Sure does.
How does that
Nice.
feel?
Awesome.
Nice. Does it feel good?
Feels good to me.
All right.
For me, engaging, I was pretty darn engaged with this one, so I'm going to give it a 1. It's pretty fast paced in my opinion, so things fly by, and I'm hooked, and it progressively gets more gooier. So I was more involved. For sticky, I'm now going to like tell myself that for sticky ratings, I have to be able to retell the story of the movie pretty great. So for it to be sticky to me, and I don't think I'm going to do a good job with this movie, even in like a year from now, if you know, like to be able to retell you that story. So I'm going to give it a 0.5. No, 0.5 for now. Because there are moments that do stick out, but a lot of the movie I don't think will stick with me. T-shirtable, I'm gonna give it a 0.25. If it's not Big Daddy, I don't want it. But that's the only thing, and that's the 0.25.
Put that on a shirt.
Cockles. Oh, I feel like at the same time, this movie is so early 2000s. It is, and for me, early 2000s movies are kind of like a warm blanket for me. I go back in that time and I can see myself be a kid on a Saturday afternoon seeing this on Sci-Fi, and you know, like I think that would be good. I like it. I like the vibes that this movie had, and I think we had a good time watching it while we were when we filmed the reaction. So I'm gonna 0.75.
Oh, you almost gave it a 1.
And rewatchable, yeah, I'll rewatch it. To what point? I don't know. Like on its own, I'm gonna give it a 0.75 as well. What does that bring me to? I don't do math.
A 3.25.
A 3.25?
Which is what Ross gave it as well, and that's all sits right around the same level.
I'll join you
as
there,
too.
Ross.
So does that feel?
Yeah, feels good. Feels good to me.
I expected mine to be a little higher, but I'm fine with the way it came out. Not much higher, but a little higher.
Sure. So then that gives us a collective score of, well, we'll get to that in a second. Let's go ahead and check out what the club has to say real quick.
All right.
Tiger Snake Kate says, I'm not sure what the general consensus is on this entry into the franchise, but personally, I'm quite a big fan. I need no convincing to watch any of these, but I recall being particularly intrigued when I heard that Simon Baker was in it. As I remember him from his early days of acting in Australia. I present exhibits A and B below, which listeners obviously will not see, but he was in a music video for a very spiffy 90s pop song, Love You Right by Euphoria.
Wow.
And was also,
I meant to watch that before this. It looks like it's black and white and he's in like a tank top. Like it looks very fun.
Sensual.
And was also in what was essentially a Bogan version of a Melrose Place,
Just
like
like
Street.
Bogan, I googled it after reading this, is like a sort of like a
soap opera,
Australian slang for like a lower class. So like I didn't watch Melrose Place, but I imagine it was hoity-toity. So I imagine this one is more working class or something.
I see. Yeah. I wasn't sure how our boy would go in a Romero zombie flick, but was quite impressed, and I really liked the rest of the cast. Honestly, I can't really pinpoint anything what I like about this movie, but I always have fun watching it. Oh, right. I'm supposed to give a score. Whoops. Got caught up in the Simon Baker nostalgia. 4 out of 5. And our only other one comes from Travis Maxwell Boone, the Witch Doctor of Doom. As some of you know, I covered this series a few years ago on the Joe Blow Horror Show. Really enjoyed my watch and the conversation that took place around the film. See if the scale matches my rating. Engaging 1, Romero has the tenacity. He continued making these films despite the budgets growing smaller and smaller, but was still able to pull some top-notch actors for this entry, and those performances, coupled with the story, kept me entertained. Sticky 0.5. I remember a few set pieces, and that's enough to give it a half a finger.
Yeah.
Zombies doing the river walk, anyone? T-shirtable 0.25. You definitely can make a shirt. I just don't want one. Cockles 0.5. There's enough here to work for me as Romero's zombie film with Big Daddy advancing how the zombies evolve in this world, so it gets a half. Rewatchable 0.75. I'd watch it again with friends or on a rewatch of the series, but not on its own.
Yeah.
3 out of 5 feels right for the scale. My rating on Joe Blow is an 8 out of 10, so pretty close. Gets the extra bump out of my 10 scale because of the conversation they had about the film.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and check out that episode of the Joe Blow Horror Show. And yeah. Compared to other movies in our Goo Book, real quick, this sits at a 3.1. The previous entry, Day of the Dead, was a 4.8 from us. Dawn of the Dead was a 4.6, and Night of the Living Dead was a 4.4. So this drops substantially.
Oh, wow.
But it's still at a 3.
It's still likable.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's just compared.
Yes.
Right. That 3.1 territory sits it right in the realms of stuff like Baskin, Rec 4, Castle Freak, Black
Rec
Christmas, 4. Right below it.
Castle Freak.
OG Friday the 13th, Black Sabbath, Bone Tomahawk.
Cool.
So there you have it for our scores there.
Nice.
With all that being said, that concludes tonight's meeting of the Chuddle the Pod Horror Movie Club. Thank you for joining us as we explored the fortified streets and chaotic wasteland of Romero's Land of the Dead. Huge thank you to our returning guests, Cody, Sergio from the Horror Bandwagon.
Thank you, guys.
It's always a gruesome delight having you join us for these undead adventures.
Such a gruesome delight. Oh my God. Well, thank you, fellas. We had a lot of time. I'm not going to continue that sentence.
You had a lot of time here with us tonight.
We had a load of a time.
It was a load. Indeed.
We got 2 more movies with you, so we're looking forward to those.
Yeah.
Then never again.
Apparently, sounds like it.
It did sound that way, didn't it?
Well, 2 more.
We got 2 more with you.
They gotta move on. Be sure to check out their podcast, their YouTube channel, everywhere you can listen, and follow them on social media at the Horror Bandwagon. I assume.
Yep. All the horror.
And
Bandwagon.
they did a react for this one, so you can watch their react to this movie.
Yes, do it.
Watch.
Yeah. Do it. Remember to join our Discord to discuss the movie further, share your own thoughts on the film, and connect with fellow club members, past guests, and us. Follow Chuddle Sam on Letterboxd for his cinematic insights. I'm over there as well at Chuddle the Brian with a Y. And at Ross Purvis on Instagram to see the beauty of his artwork and tattooing. And go buy stuff and book a tattoo appointment.
I've also got a letterbox now.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That happened.
Letterboxd
At
King.
Chuddle
Ross.
the Ross. You know it. You know it. You know how to fight him.
Late
Get
to the
over
game.
there. Hit him up. Late to the game. But it's fun nonetheless. Don't forget about the many ways to reach out. Rate and review us wherever you listen and help us spread the good word of Chuddle the Pod. Until next time, watch for sky flowers and as always, avoid the time loop.